Alrighty, welcome back everybody to our latest live stream. Hope everybody's having a good morning or afternoon so far, depending on where you are. We do have some pretty significant storms ongoing across areas in the Ohio Valley, and we're going to really break this down for you because we have a pretty significant line of storms that is moving down to the south and east, and it is producing some pretty nasty damaging winds. We are also noticing a little bit of rotation in a couple of these areas embedded in the line of storms. So we have a couple of threats to watch out for this afternoon, including damaging winds, large hail, and perhaps even a couple tornadoes out of this line of storms. In addition to this, we're watching multiple rounds of storms. This is the first of a couple at least that'll be happening here in parts of the Ohio Valley over the next several hours, especially for western Kentucky, western Tennessee, back through southern Illinois and southeast parts of Missouri. Before we get too far into this, make sure to hit the like button down below, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and also this live stream is brought to you by Radar Omega. You can download the app that I'm using here with the links in the top of the description. All right, let's first begin with what's happening currently here across areas in southeast Missouri, because these are the most significant storms, and we actually have live cams right now on these areas back down in southeast Missouri. This is one of them that we're looking at right here, and then look at the bottom right of your, or bottom left of your screen. You'll notice how windy it is right now. This is where the core of this line of storms is moving through, near the Cape Girardeau area. This area is where we're basically seeing those high damaging winds, and again, we are starting to see that here across areas in southeast Missouri. You'll notice, though, this is right now happening near Jackson, Scott City, and Bloomfield, as well as the Cape Girardeau area back down in southeast parts of Missouri. Very pronounced line of storms as well. It is producing damaging winds around 50 to 60 miles per hour, perhaps even a little bit greater at times, and it's going to be entering a more favorable environment. So over the next hour or two, there's a lot more humidity and there's a lot more instability out in front of this line of storms. So this area is expected to not just intensify, but possibly even grow in size up to the north and south, and this could become a bit more of a stronger MCS with producing damaging winds even as high as 80 miles per hour over the next few hours. So it's really concerning because it's not just because of that, but we're also going through a fairly populated area in western Kentucky, eventually into Tennessee, southern parts of Illinois, and as well as, again, southeast parts of Missouri. That's where this MCS has been ongoing for the last few hours. It started all the way back up in central Missouri. It is still ongoing, and it is intensifying more. And another concern with this is that we could see perhaps an isolated tornado or two, because there is going to be a little bit, there's enough shear for perhaps a tornado. So you'll notice right now in the velocities, our highest area of wind is right now crossing into Jackson parts of Mississippi, or excuse me, not Mississippi, Missouri, as well as going towards Cape Girardeau, and that area there is where we're going to end up seeing the threat for that damaging winds up around 60 to 70 miles per hour here in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So if you're in Cape Girardeau, make sure you are staying very weather aware, and once this area of storms gets closer, you're going to want to make sure you're getting away from windows, because high winds are likely out of this. Now, there is an area back over here near Advance in southeast Missouri that we actually have a live cam in, and this is a very interesting area about 15 minutes ago or so here on Radar Omega with the cyclone port. This is a really cool live cam that we had earlier, and we're able to see very definitively a shelf cloud move through this area, and the shelf cloud is basically the reminiscent there of that outflow boundary, at least the front of an MCS that we're seeing here. And so right now it's obviously just rain now, but before we were able to see a really cool little, again, a shelf cloud, and that shelf cloud is what we're really seeing in the very front of this area of storms. And if you're anywhere near like Grand Tower, Murphysville, or anywhere near like Carbondale or something like that, you'll be able to see this area that we're looking at for that shelf cloud. It's going to be right here along the front boundary here of this line that extends all the way back up into southern parts of Illinois and as well as into southeast Missouri. And again, this will produce that threat for damaging winds around 60 to 70 miles per hour on that leading edge. Now, I did mention there's a chance for an isolated tornado. We've actually been noticing a couple of little kinks of rotation. It's nothing strong or too concerning yet, but this could become a bit more of a growing concern over the next couple of hours. Overall, the threat of tornadoes today is on the lower side of things. And you might remember when we were covering the Chicago Midwest event a couple days ago, the one that was less significant with just an isolated tornado and the damaging winds. This is what we're pretty much looking at in comparison. It's going to be that threat for mainly damaging winds, but we might also see an isolated tornado. But overall, this MCS in particular is a lot more organized and has a lot more favorable environment here across areas like southern Illinois and again western Kentucky, where we could very well see that damaging wind threat really start to ramp up over the next couple of hours. So that's really the biggest concern right now. We do have other cyclone ports down to the south here, and again, this is from Radar Omega. They have live cams, but you'll notice here in the background that those are the dark clouds. This is the southernmost area of this MCS, so we don't really have a great definitive view of that shelf cloud, but it's going to be definitely back in there somewhere. You'll notice all that dark clouds as well, and you'll actually see a bird kind of flying by at the top left of your screen. But that's where our storm is right now, and that's going to be again moving down into this area as well. And this is a little bit further down to the south near the Dexter area, and as well as near Bloomfield. So that's where we're really looking at also the MCS moving through with maybe some gusty winds around 50 to 55 miles per hour. But that damaging wind threat where the greatest winds are currently are definitely going to be located here just to the west of Cape Girardeau. So again, if you're in Cape Girardeau, in the next couple minutes, you should get away from windows just in case. Again, there could be some falling trees and whatnot. We've already had some pretty high winds go through areas like Advance in Missouri, and this will be going through Cape Girardeau. Now, next up after this, we'll be watching for more areas near Carbondale, for example, in southern Illinois. That could also see that threat for some damaging winds around 60 to 65 miles per hour. And then further down to the south, we have other areas like Mayfield in Kentucky, and as well as maybe Paducah in the track of this within the next couple hours. And this is a very quick line as well. Right now, the National Weather Service is saying this is moving about 55 miles per hour down to the south and east. So it's very quick moving. It's not very slow. So you'll be able to see this in Paducah probably within the next hour, maybe hour and a half at most. So this is, again, a very quick moving area of storms. Now, for the rest of the day today, you might be wondering, this is it, right? No, it's actually not. We have more storms coming later today. And let me just get the latest run here. So this is the latest run. And right now, we are currently looking at storms moving through the Cape Girardeau area as we speak. And then once we get closer to about 2 to 3 o'clock, those storms will be moving throughout areas like Kentucky and as well as Tennessee. And then we have to watch for another round of storms back up in central Missouri later today. If that's able to develop, it'll likely go through the same areas that are already seeing severe weather, and this could produce that threat for large to very large hail, damaging winds, and maybe even again an isolated tornado. And then once we get closer to around dinner time or so about 5, 6 o'clock, those storms move down to the south and east. We'll have another round of storms likely producing that damaging wind and as well as that large hail threat. We actually could see the threat for large hail as high as maybe tennis balls in a couple storms back up in Missouri. This should be mainly a damaging wind threat, though, as it collapses into Tennessee. And then once we get closer to 8 o'clock, those storms move down to the south and east. You might be thinking, that must be it after that, right? It's actually not. So let's go to the 12Z model run so we can look at what's happening later tonight. Again, that line of storms will be moving through areas in Kentucky, Tennessee throughout the afternoon. This is, again, the timeline for right now. Once we get closer to this evening, though, notice the storms right around about 12 o'clock or so. We're going to have another explosion of thunderstorms. And this is a bit more concerning, not for severe weather, but it's more concerning for flooding. We actually could see an increased risk of flooding here across Kentucky, Tennessee, and as well as southern Illinois. This will be producing that threat for a lot of rainfall in a very short amount of time, and these storms are going to be sitting for the most part. So by 12, 1, 2 in the morning, notice how the storms barely move back over in Kentucky and as well as Tennessee. And that's very concerning, again, for the flash flooding threat. And then once we get closer to 3 and 4 in the morning, those storms continue to rumble on. And there could even be an isolated tornado risk out of a storm as well out of this cluster initially. So just definitely be mindful of that as the storms do develop in, again, Kentucky and as well as Tennessee. But again, very, very active day ahead. That'll continue all the way through tomorrow morning. Flash flooding concerns are definitely high with that sort of threat overnight. And then we still have a flooding concern here even throughout the day, especially for southeast Missouri that could have not just one, but 2 lines of storms go through over the next few hours. Now, right now, let's go to Cape Girardeau. This is the area that, again, we are seeing those high winds move into right now. Again, this is the current velocities radar. Very high wind speeds approaching Cape Girardeau. And we do have a new update on this warning. We're now up to damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. So this warning has been upgraded. And that's definitely going to be for those near the Cape Girardeau area in Scott City, and as well as Chaffee and as well as Jackson. Those areas currently seeing that threat for damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour. Currently, this is the latest. So actually at the Cape Girardeau airport, there was a 66 mile per hour wind gust literally just measured as of 2 minutes ago. So at the airport here in Cape Girardeau, which I believe is down here near Scott City, if I'm not mistaken, that is where we just saw those very high wind speeds. So if you're anywhere in the Cape Girardeau or Decatur area, get away from windows immediately. Again, damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour are possible here over the next several minutes. As of right now, I'm not seeing any really rotation. There's like very small areas and they're very weak right now, but there is a chance still for that isolated tornado risk. I think that might increase a little bit more over the next hour as these storms move off to the east. But overall, the main concern for today is definitely going to be damaging winds here across Illinois, as well as Kentucky, and as well as Tennessee. Again, we have some live cam views further down here to the south, near the Dexter area in Missouri, so we'll be keeping a close eye on this. And look at that right there in the back right of your screen. That is your shelf cloud that's actually moving down here to the south, and you'll actually notice the McDonald's sign as well in the background. So that's very off topic, but we're looking again at that shelf cloud here. This is a bit further down to the south. Very definitive area here of that shelf cloud. It's not nearly as defined as what we saw go through areas further to the north, so just west of Cape Girardeau, but it is definitely pretty noticeable here, and a lot of rain behind that. Obviously, there's a ton of rain with this. It is a very large cluster of storms producing a lot of lightning as well, and it's not just the gusty and damaging winds. We are definitely looking at a lot of lightning. It's a very high lightning producer, mainly due to the fact that cloud tops are so high. In addition to that, we have a lot of positively and negatively charges here that are going to be able to produce a lot more lightning here, especially with how high the cloud tops are. So that's also a concern here as these storms do move off to the east. Again, Cape Girardeau, if you're in that area, make sure you're getting away from windows. High damaging winds currently moving through those areas, and then anything behind that is just a little bit more of the contamination, excuse me. So that area is more contaminated. We're not really looking at damaging winds everywhere in this bright area. It's only going to be really on that leading edge of damaging winds near the Cape Girardeau, Scott City, and Benton area right now. So really on the leading edge is where those highest damaging winds are going to be. Further to the north, we have slightly lesser velocities, meaning the wind speeds near the surface are a bit lower. We're probably talking more like damaging winds around 60 miles per hour that are going to be approaching Carbondale, Illinois. So if you're back up that direction, still be mindful. That's still capable of producing damage, especially to trees. But as of right now, it's going to be a little bit lesser of a threat there. All right, we're going to stay on this as this area of storms passes here. This is a very impressive live camera on the cyclone port again on Radar Omega. Extremely impressive view here. Again, very cool clouds as well. And again, your shelf cloud's kind of in the background. It's not nearly as fine though of a shelf cloud as what we had before. This is definitely the leading edge here of the storms that we are seeing back up to the north, and as well as, again, that's just the leading edge overall. Not really much of a shelf cloud here though. It's more of just cloud cover and then all your rain's basically in the background. So a lot of cumulus clouds here in the front, but wind's going to be definitely picking up here in the next minute, and we have a lot of trees here, so we should be able to see and get at least a gauge of what the wind speeds are further down on the southern side of this line. And you might be thinking this is like a funnel cloud or something. That is likely just scud activity. A lot of this area that we've been seeing, even further to the north, we've seen a lot of scud clouds, so those often get confused for funnel clouds. The main difference is that scud clouds are very rough and they don't rotate, but when we typically look at a funnel cloud, that's a lot more smooth edges, so we're not seeing that here. That's a lot more of just rough clouds in terms of scud clouds here. But overall, you see the winds are definitely starting to pick up here, so we'll kind of watch this here for a minute. Hope everybody's doing well. Again, if you're just tuning in, make sure to like button, subscribe, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the chat. Again, we'll be live here for quite a while. Just basically going over everything that's happening here. And Radar Omega is sponsoring the stream as well. So again, we are currently using Radar Omega's feature of the cyclone ports. And actually, I just got a video on Twitter. But if you want to download Radar Omega, you can click the top link in the description. Again, that does help port the page. I do appreciate them sponsoring today's live stream. We do have a cool little video that came in over on our Twitter page. Let me go ahead and show you guys this. I'll just show you real quickly this. But this is a pretty cool video out of Farmington, Missouri earlier. Not entirely sure what we're exactly looking at here, but it looks like maybe the leading edge of that MCS as well here. So it's pretty cool, but you'll also see, look how the clouds are really like bluish. I've seen that actually happen in like North Texas before. It happens quite often with MCSs. It has to do with the water droplets mixing with certain colors and stuff, and it actually gives it that little blue tinge. Right now what we're seeing, we're not really looking at a blue tinge per se, but we definitely have a lot of white here at the bare minimum. But yeah, again, the winds are definitely picking up here, and I think what we can do, actually, yeah, this should be good for now, so yeah, we'll just stay on this live cam for here for a second. But again, this is currently back over in parts of southern Missouri, and here's the current line of storms. So Cape Girardeau, again, if you're in Cape Girardeau, get away from windows anywhere in front of this. If you're in that new severe thunderstorm warning, you're going to want to make sure that you are going to be staying away from windows as this line of storms approaches. The highest wind speeds are on the leading edge of the storm, so you want to get to your safe place before it even starts raining. But again, that front edge of the storms here is producing that threat for damaging winds upwards of about 60 to about 70 miles per hour. We had a 66 mile per hour wind gust at the Cape Girardeau airport here pretty recently. Let's go back over to that live cam view out of Dexter. We're going to stay here for now. Again, very impressive view here with the cyclone port. Winds are really picking up too. And obviously people are driving. It is lunchtime. But again, that's what we're looking at right now. Very impressive view though. With this area of storms, and it's going to probably, the wind should really pick up more as this area gets closer. So that leading edge here, that's your leading edge of this rain. Once that leading edge gets closer, the winds actually should pick up a bit more. This is a bit more of like, there's technically kind of like two leading edges to this entire like line of storms, at least down here. This is your main area wind though, most likely, and then we'll be watching for damaging winds again around 60 to 70 miles per hour, and all the rain behind it, which the rain is also a concern. We very well could see a lot of flooding potential over the next several hours as this all moves through. We're gonna have a lot of rainfall today. We could see some areas get upwards of 6 inches of rainfall, so flooding is definitely a concern as well today. That's without a doubt. I'll talk about the timing again in just a moment. So for those in Kentucky and Tennessee, just hold on. I'll go to that here in a second. I just want to kind of see the winds pick up here as this area goes through. This line of storms goes through. What was this again? Was this Dexter? Yeah, this is Dexter. We also have another live cam just to the east of this. And this is another view. This is more at the surface, so I'll have a view here. We'll check that out in a minute, but we're going to stay on Dexter for the time being. And another cool thing with the cyclone ports is that you can actually look at the temperatures. Look how they've already dropped. That's with the basically the outflow boundary, and you'll notice here the temperatures were around 85 degrees. The current temperatures dropped down to 79, or about 80 degrees now. So it's dropped 5 degrees here in the past, I don't know, 2 minutes or so. Yeah, it's about 2 minutes. It's dropped about 5 degrees, and it's going to drop even more as this area of storms moves through. So that's one of the things that you can even see here. They have the temperature observations going literally second by second, and it's a really cool feature as well. But again, that's your leading edge. A little bit of scud activity up there, but mostly just cumulus clouds. No fall clouds or anything like that with this area of storms by any means, but we're definitely looking at that high wind potential as this moves through. But that outflow boundary definitely brought some high wind gusts. Actually, we should be able to see the wind. Sustained wind speeds around 15-20 miles per hour. Pressure also increasing a little bit. Dew point is starting to drop. Humidity as well. That's with that leading edge. Pretty typical for an outflow boundary. Let's go, Mary. Welcome back. Gerardu, thank you. I don't know why I'm saying Gerardu. Gerardu. Thank you, Ice Cream, for the $2 super chat. How's Florence, Alabama looking? Florence, Alabama actually could see some damaging winds later today. That would be on the northern side of the state, but it's going to depend on how long this MCS goes for. It's been going for a few hours. It's more just going to kind of be, you know, how far south and east does this actually make it? Right now, it's, let me just check real quick. I'll check on my other monitor, but I'm pretty sure Florence could see some damaging winds a little bit later today. But again, it's really just variable on if this MCS really holds together through the late evening. Right now, the current estimated timing for the Florence and Huntsville area, so northern Alabama, would be around 7, or maybe a little bit earlier, maybe between about 6 to 10 o'clock. That's your best chance. So that's in terms of that cluster of storms. It should weaken a bit more, though, as it goes to the south and east. High pressure is a little bit more dominant down there, so that should help to weaken this MCS a little bit back down that direction. Winds are definitely picking up here. Hey, thank you, Tracy, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. We talking about Thursday for Ohio. I will talk about it. I'm also going to be making a video today, by the way. It's not just a live stream. I should be able to get a video out sometime after this live stream. So I'll be talking about that in our video forecast more as well. How's it going, Samuel? Wisconsin, Green Bay, good. Yes, you are. You're definitely good there. Let's go to this other live cam in Essex. So again, by the way, the clouds are very fast moving. I did want to mention that. The line of storms itself is moving southeast at about 55 miles per hour. So you'll notice how fast these clouds are moving right now. And the winds are also, look at that, the winds are really starting to pick up here on that outflow boundary that's just out in front of the line. So winds are picking up, the power line poles as well, or power line is moving just a little bit at the top of your screen, which is pretty typical for higher wind speeds. And what we're seeing here is probably wind gusts around 20 to 30 miles per hour at least. And again, we also have the temperature data here, so we'll be able to see that drop as that outflow boundary does move through, which should be a bit more reminiscent here over the next few minutes. Now, if you're back over in Kentucky, here's your current timing over the next couple hours. We're going to go and time out the Paducah area. Let's go and put on Cape Girardeau. Oop, that's the wrong thing. Let's go over to this one. Let's time out Paducah, though, and as well as the Mayfield area. So this is your current timing. Again, the line of storms is moving southeast and east at about 55 miles per hour. So Paducah should be within the next hour or so. We're going to find out where Paducah is here on the map. Or actually, I can just click on here. Paducah is going to be in approximately 50 minutes. So that's about 50 to 55 minutes is when you'll be impacted by that damaging wind threat around 50 to 60 miles per hour. Could be as high as 75 to 80. Again, it's starting to enter a more favorable environment. So we're seeing dew points much higher over here. There's more instability to work with as well. And as it enters this more favorable environment, we should see the damaging wind threat actually increase a bit, upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour. We just saw that through the Cape Girardeau area. And as this moves off towards like Vienna, for example, in southern Illinois, as well as the Cario area, we probably will start to see that damaging wind threat increase a bit more and a bit more, just slowly but surely, because again, we have a much more favorable environment. And also, by the way, there is a severe thunderstorm watch that goes for another about 3.5 hours until about, let's see, 4 o'clock Central. So that's going to be across areas in northwest Tennessee, western Kentucky. We'll probably see another severe thunderstorm watch issued for central Tennessee and as well as parts of maybe northern Alabama going into closer to the mid to late afternoon as this area of storms moves further down to the south and east. Right now it's moving east-southeast. It's really going to start pushing more to the southeast, though. You'll notice that southeast extension down here near the Bloomfield area. And as that moves down to the south and east, it'll start to move towards areas like Tennessee and eventually possibly even towards Nashville. So we'll have to watch that thread as well pretty closely. Also, the timing's on the left side of your screen. I'll just put a little guide here. So if any of your cities are on the left, you'll be able to see it. That's the timing primarily for those back over, though, east of Cape Girardeau, back through about Paducah in Kentucky. Is Bowling Green going to get hit badly? Bowling Green probably won't get hit too hard by the MCS. You might see an isolated supercell, though, beforehand. Actually, there is a severe thunderstorm warning back over here to the east. That's going to be near the Glasgow area. That's actually for 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds, and as well as the threat for half-dollar sized hail and a possible tornado. Let's check out the velocities here. There is actually a little bit of rotation here. So near Park and Center, there is a little bit of rotation. We'll have to monitor that closely, but that's near the center area and moving towards Newitt and Pierce in parts of Kentucky. So that is definitely something to watch out for. But that is, again, a little area of rotation. A tornado possible on that storm in particular. It's on the back edge, too. It's a very interesting little hook echo. Got an inflow going into the storm. And then, again, a tornado will be located probably just east of Highsville if that's able to intensify. We'll watch that storm closely because that's definitely a possibility today. Again, low-end chance for an isolated tornado, and even with this line of storms, we could perhaps see an isolated tornado risk end up developing. It just kind of depends on if this MCS organizes itself to that point. Really, the area in concern that if there were to be a tornado threat in the next, like, 20 minutes, if that were to start to materialize, it would probably be out of this area here where we have the wind speeds kind of starting to reach out a bit more of an inflow. The line of storms is kind of bowing out just a little bit to the point where we might get a little shape, which could mean a little hook embedded in the line. If that ends up happening, we actually could perhaps see an isolated tornado. That's near Tams right now, and that'll be approaching the New Grand Chain area and eventually going towards the Round Knob, Metropolis, and as well as possibly towards Paducah. So those will be the areas in the track of that threat over the next about 30 minutes or so. But there is a little bit of a shape trying to develop there, which could maybe mean that we have a little bit of inflow going in there, or perhaps it's just, you know, maybe the rain's kind of starting to get out in front of the entire line of storms. Sometimes that happens where the line of storms is organized for a while, and then part of it starts to kind of reach out a bit more, and it gets way out in front of the actual line of storms, at least the main part of it. And thank you, Casper, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate you tuning in as well. QLCS tornado. That's actually possible, yes. That's pretty much what we'd be looking at here on the MCS. Here's the confirmed report, by the way, of the 66-mile-per-hour wind gust. It's actually in Scott City, where the Cape Girardeau Airport is. That's just southwest of the city. So that's where we had that confirmed 66-mile-per-hour wind gust. You'll notice all the rain that's been falling as well. It's still raining over here. This is north of Dexter, and that's back over near Advance. And then back near Dexter, the area that we're just on, this is what it looks like now. Not a whole lot of rain yet, but this is all rain right here. This is the leading edge pretty much of that storm at the very top left of your screen. I don't know if you really can see it. Yeah, you really can't see it. Let me, let's go to this screen real quick. I think I can show you on this. Yeah, there you go. So at the very top left of your screen, that's what we're looking at there. That's the leading edge, and no longer really can you see that leading edge. It's just all rain behind it. So it's a massive rain shaft that we're looking at here, back in the background here. In addition to that, you can see McDonald's. I had McDonald's yesterday for lunch. Not gonna lie. All right, let's go back over to, we're going to zoom out just a little bit. Again, this is your line of storms. It is currently impacting southern Illinois, parts of southeast Missouri, and as well as western Kentucky, and it'll eventually go towards Tennessee as well. So those are the areas that we're currently looking at here in the foreseeable future. We also have some other supercells. Again, we have the other one back over near the Horse Cave area that has a little bit of rotation. We're going to monitor this closely. There's also a lot of lightning, and a lot of lightning with all the storms that we have right now. But there is some rotation here near the center and park area, and that'll be something to watch for. Again, this is a storm that has a tornado possible label, producing damaging winds as well up to 70 miles per hour and perhaps some half-dollar sized hail. So we'll be watching that closely as that continues to move down over to the east-southeast. We also have some other storms that are ongoing as well, back west of the national area, that are producing that threat as well for maybe a little bit of gusty winds and small hail. But the most intense storms really all day today will be basically originating from Missouri. We're going to have another line of storms behind this one later this afternoon that also could produce damaging winds, but even some large to very large hail as we dive into the afternoon hours. So that'll be something to watch for as well pretty closely. One other thing that I want to point out is that there's a lot of lightning. You'll see all those lightning strikes on the map that are extending from about Carbondale, Illinois, back into areas like Bloomfield. There's a ton of lightning, and that could be also cloud to ground lightning. So you definitely want to make sure that you're not, you know, outdoors while this line of storms does get closer. In addition to this, again, we have very high winds, so it's just basically a mess right now in terms of that. But yeah, right now, again, the leading edge of all the damaging winds right now moving through areas like Anna and Cobden. If we move, let's just zoom out a little bit here. And this is a much wider view of it. All right, there we go. So this is the leading edge here of the winds. It's going to be right in here. That's where we're seeing the highest wind speeds, upwards of 70 miles per hour. It will be approaching the Metropolis area here really shortly. Again, this line is moving at about 55 miles per hour off to the east. So very quick moving without a doubt here. All right. Also, by the way, if you have any photos or videos, you can tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. I just want to throw that out there if you have any photos from this MCS. Again, shelf cloud photos always welcome. Those are the ones that are usually very cool. We've had a couple of them so far. We might actually have another view down here. Yeah, look at this. That's your shelf cloud. This is far away, but that is a very clean view here in southeast parts of Missouri. Let me get the exact city name here. That is back down in Bernie. So Bernie, Missouri. That is where that live cam view is here on the Cyclone port, again on radar Omega. And very clear area here where we're seeing that leading edge. And that's, again, all the rain's back there, but that's where our area of storms is right now. Very clean look at this, though, as this moves down to the south and southeast. Wind will pick up a lot more over the next 15 minutes. It's going to take probably a good 10 minutes until this actually gets here. But this will get here closer than you think. I mean, you blink your eyes and you'll probably see the storm here in the next, like, 2 minutes. It's very quick with how fast this is all moving. But this is another live cam view that we have here in southeast Missouri. No problem, Keto. It's like an opening to another dimension. I guess so. I mean, this is pretty impressive, though. I think we have another live cam as well, just to the east, or actually just to the west. That one's out, though. We have some other live cam views behind it, but I don't think we're going to see much out of those. Yeah, just a little bit of blowing rain. That's about it there. But as these storms move down to the south and east, back in western Tennessee, we have more live cams down here. And you'll notice a lot of just ominous skies at this point. But the cloud tops with these storms are very high into the atmosphere back over here. If we go to the satellite imagery, you'll be able to see here how far these cloud tops are going. They're actually going very far away from this originating area of storms here. All the high clouds that are reaching out into Tennessee. So we're actually seeing that right now near Jackson, Tennessee, which might be able to stabilize the atmosphere just a little bit and maybe perhaps not really weaken entirely this line of storms, but it might kind of degrade the significant wind threat, at least for parts of western Tennessee. But the other problem is we already had so much instability this morning, and we also have a lot of humidity. So that really just equivalates here to a very high likelihood, at least, of seeing some damaging winds here, at least in a scattered amount of damaging winds here across areas like western Kentucky and Tennessee over the next few hours. And again, we're still monitoring the other storm with that tornado possible. Just going to check in and see if there's any new area of rotation, if it's still going. And again, there's still rotation on this cell. It is a tornado possible. We do have a little bit of rotation just south there of center in Kentucky. Here, your wind's going away from the radar. That's going toward the radar. That is counterclockwise rotation. And that would be your tornado if you were able to see one. That is definitely an area to watch for, though. Just to the southeast there of Park. And that'll be moving off to the east. In addition to this, again, here's your hook, and it's a pretty clean inflow. So we could very well see an isolated tornado perhaps develop out of this. Any tornado risk, though, for the most part today, should stay on the low side of things. And it should be brief and weak anyways. But this is the tornado risk. I'll go and point it out anyways. This is the tornado risk for today. Here's your actual overall risk. We'll do that first. The enhanced risk of severe weather, mainly for damaging winds and large hail, does include the Cape Girardeau area, back through areas in central Tennessee. That includes Nashville. And then our slight risk goes all the way back through Huntsville, Chattanooga, and as well as back into parts of western Kentucky. And then also it goes all the way back up into St. Joseph. We'll have another area of storms develop later today, back up into parts of central Missouri, and that'll also produce some damaging winds and large hail. And then look how large this risk is, by the way. We are watching a lot of areas today. The main concern, obviously, is that wind bag that we're seeing back down in Tennessee and Kentucky, but we also have up in the northeast where they do not need any more rainfall, but they're going to see more rain today, and then back up into parts of the Dakotas, there's another slight risk for damaging winds and perhaps an isolated tornado. So it's going to be a fairly active day, really, across the United States, and it's not just that. We're going to see more severe weather going into tomorrow, and as well as going into Thursday. It's going to be a fairly active week overall, and this is your tornado risk, by the way. So it's primarily focused across areas in Tennessee, western Kentucky, but that storm back over west of Columbia definitely doesn't, it's not out of the question that we see maybe an isolated tornado out of that. As that starts to move off further to the east. All right, let's go and take the tornado risk off for now. Again, that tornado risk is primarily with this MCS today, with any embedded storms. We also could see an isolated tornado like late tonight into the overnight hours out of the storms that develop. Again, we have 3 different rounds of storms. I'll show you the timing here again in just a moment. But yeah, it's going to, again, be a very active day. And this is the latest from the Bernie, Missouri Cyclone port on radar Omega. Again, this is the live cam view and all the rain. And you might notice over time, you'll see this area in the background here, like this little hill. You'll probably see in about a couple minutes that might just disappear because of how heavy the rain is. So that'll be kind of interesting to see if that ends up happening. But the rain is very heavy. That's basically what that's saying. We had an EF0 tornado in Brookfield, Massachusetts on Sunday. I saw that. Yeah, there was an EF0 tornado there. There was also an EF0 tornado back over in... Oh, we have a tornado warning. New tornado warning is going to be issued here for parts of the Cario and La Center area. This is the area that we were mentioning before that had some rotation. Seek shelter immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible if you're included in this tornado warning. Again, this does include Mound City, and as well as parts of the Barlow area, less center. This was the area that we were talking about before that had rotation, and this is very actually clear rotation here. That's going to be located here, just to the north of Klondike, going towards Mountain City. If you're anywhere in this tornado warning, seek shelter immediately, away from windows and lowest floor possible. Very clean inflow as well, but that is where your rotation's located. It literally has just developed here in the last couple minutes. This is a little bit of a loop here, just to kind of go back here a second, but that's our area of rotation. It's going to be located there near Mound City. Moving to the east, again, tornado warning for those west of Paducah in Kentucky. So again, that's going to include Mounds, Cario, as well as La Center. All those areas included in this brand new tornado warning. Again, seek shelter immediately if you're in this tornado warning. These storms are very quick moving, so these tornado warnings will be very quick as well, and you really don't have any time to really prepare. You just need to get to your safe place immediately if you're included in any of these tornado warnings, especially this one here that's moving quickly off to the east. But our rotation is very strong. Let's check out the correlation coefficient. We're gonna go back to here. This is where a tornado will be on the ground, would be right about there. Very strong rotation at this time. We could see a tornado drop. I'm not seeing anything yet, but there is strong rotation. It's a little bit different here on this radar. We don't see nearly as much of the red. I'll have to change the color table, but that is where we're seeing the strongest area of rotation. It's just north of Klondike. That'll likely be located over Mound City right now, so you need to get to your safe place immediately if you're in Mound City, and then eventually La Center, Kentucky, and Barlow, Kentucky. You need to get to your safe place within the next couple minutes. And this is a tornado warning. This will be heading towards Paducah over the next about 15 to 20 minutes as well. So if you're over in Paducah, definitely have your tornado action plan in place if you're in those areas as well. This includes 4 counties, by the way. It includes Alexander County in Illinois, Pulaski County, Illinois, Ballard County in Kentucky, and then Mississippi County in Missouri. Those are the 4 counties included. So there's a lot of areas, obviously, all different areas, different states. All right, here's the latest radar scan. Again, we are on the leading edge here of the storms, right here near Mound City and the Mounds area near Urbandale. We'll have a new reflectivity update here in a second. If there's going to be a tornado, it will be located right there near Mound City. But very strong rotation for sure on the leading edge of that. That's where the rotation is located. Reflectivity is yet to update. That is our area of rotation, and it's really because of this inflow that we have as well here. That inflow going into the storm here is what's helping to aid that risk for a tornado. When we get these little notches embedded in MCSs, that's when we could see the tornado risk, and that's what we're seeing right now here, going towards La Center and Barlow. So again, if you're in those areas, get to your safe place immediately. This will be moving towards areas like Paducah over the next several minutes with this, again, tornado warning. That is your area of rotation right in here. Pretty clean inflow as well. Mound City right now. You need to get to your safe place now. Well, I'll keep you posted if anything changes here. But again, Paducah will be the track of this in a few minutes as well. It's an impressive area of rotation, too. Let's go back to the velocities. This is a pretty impressive area of rotation. It's wrapping around really well in terms of rotation, which is not a good thing, as it very well could produce a tornado at any time. But this is your area of wind, and it's really wrapping a lot. And with that inflow going into the storm, it's helping to basically have those winds going away from the radar start to wrap around. That's when we could see that tornado risk. Rotation right now, by the looks of it, is a little bit broad, but it could very well strengthen at any time. With the environment that we're in, and especially with a line of storms, it does not take much for a quick tornado to drop. So we really could see one legitimately at any time. There already could have been one. There might be one in the next couple minutes. One could happen in between a radar scan. So that's really the most concerning thing with these types of tornado warnings, especially since it's embedded in that line of storms. So again, if you're near Mound City or Urbandale, again, get to your safe place. Obviously, the rotation's now over you, so you want to definitely do that now. And the other concern with this is that it is likely rain wrapped, so that also adds to the concern here across areas near Barlow and La Center. You do not want to try to look for this. You definitely want to make sure that you are just getting to your safe place. Here's a better view of it without the smoothing feature. So again, that is your hook. That is your inflow going to the storm, and that's where the tornado would sit. It would be on the leading edge there near the Mound City area, and it'll be going towards Barlow and La Center if it's able to drop a tornado. That is the area again of rotation. It is trying very hard to produce a tornado. I cannot even deny that. I mean, the amount of, it's not like the rotation's extremely strong yet, but we have a very clean inflow, and we have a very clean hook right now. And that would be the area where we'd have a tornado, would be near Urbandale. But really, more than anything, if it doesn't produce a tornado, we're still talking about damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, especially with the area where the rotation's at. Even at the surface, we could see damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. But again, if you're in Barlow or left center in Kentucky, you want to get to your safe place immediately, away from windows, lowest floor possible. We also do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, which we'll talk about here in a second. Or we'll talk about now. This is a new severe thunderstorm warning for Eddyville, excuse me, as well as Metropolis, Paducah, Lone Oak, Lovisville, as well as Bardwell, and New Burnside. All these areas included in a new severe thunderstorm warning. That's for southern Illinois and western parts of Kentucky, and that's for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour, and as well as a tornado possible label, which means there could be an isolated tornado embedded in this line of storms, especially with what we're looking at here in the Mountain City area. Again, we have a very clean hook. We have a very clean inflow as well. That's not the cleanest inflow we've ever seen, but there's enough of an inflow to have rotation and actually have a tornado here. And if there were to be a tornado, it would be located right there, just west of Barlow. And it'll be approaching Barlow in the next couple minutes. That is your area of rotation, though. That's where we could see a tornado drop at any time. So get to your safe place again. If you're in western Kentucky, away from windows, lowest floor possible. All right, I'm going to go over to Twitter and see if we have any reports on this. Also, this other severe thunderstorm warning just got condensed. It's still for 70-mile-per-hour winds, as well as that tornado possible label. That's also on it. That's for the one that's not including Paducah. It's the one behind it. See if we have any other updates on this one. Again, regardless of there being an actual tornado out of this, we very well are talking about damaging winds up to about 70 miles per hour on the leading edge. And you'll notice right here, this is your leading edge of this area of storms. And this is, again, where we have that inflow going to the storm, and then that's where your tornado would be. But even if we don't have a tornado, we are still talking about a Boeing area of storms here that is going to be approaching areas like Paducah and eventually going towards areas like Brookport, Lone Oak, Lovisville, and as well as Smithland within the next 20 minutes. So damaging winds is very likely out of this, around 70 miles per hour. We've already had a confirmed report of 66 miles per hour out of one of the storms, and obviously that is going to become more concerning as this moves off to the east into a more favorable environment, where we could even see an area get as high as 80 mile per hour winds. It's not out of the question because of all the instability that built up this morning, and in addition to that, all the moisture that we have that'll be able to help that potential for higher damaging winds as well. But here's your latest radar scan. So again, inflow going to the storm. If there were to be a tornado, it would be located there just west of Barlow, which right now the velocities have yet to update, but they should update here in a second. But that's where, again, if there were to be a tornado, it would be located right there. That's your hook, and then that's your inflow. And a tornado will be located typically right about there in that little circle I drew there west of Barlow. But as of right now, the velocities have weakened out a little bit, so it's currently broader rotation, but it could intensify again. It's in a pretty favorable spot to produce a tornado, even if it doesn't yet. It could recycle as it moves off to the east towards Paducah. Biggest concern, though, right now is that this is moving literally due east towards Paducah. So if you're in Paducah, definitely make sure you're staying very alert of this storm, and if you've not already, have a tornado action plan in place just in case, because this is definitely a storm that could produce a tornado literally at any time. Going to draw a slightly lower tone here so you can see better. There we go. That's a amazing circle. But that would be where your tornado would be located. Again, just west of Barlow. Moving towards left center. Again, it's radar indicated rotation. We've yet to have a confirmed tornado on this, but we could see a tornado drop at any time on this. Paducah will be next in the track. And the tornado warning has just been condensed. So it only now includes Kentucky. It originally included parts of Missouri and as well as parts of Illinois. But this is now only for parts of western Kentucky here near the Barlow and La Center area. So if you're back over in Mounds, for example, you are okay. You can get out of your safe place. You might want to stay there just because of how high the winds might be right now and as well as all the lightning. But currently, the area of rotation is going to be located there just west of Barlow. So this tornado warning is now condensed just a little bit. Yes, there is a National Weather Service office in Paducah, which is also concerning for this storm, especially with how high the winds are. Hopefully the radar doesn't get cut out, because if it does, we'd be down to not really any radar in this area. This is pretty much the only radar nearby. That's a pretty big concern as well. That we could see that radar site go out, and that would limit to an extent what we can see, but we could still see a lot of stuff. It just basically would mean the velocities radar would be from a very large distance, so that would be a little bit harder to get a absolute verification, for example, on an area of rotation. if that were to happen. But hopefully the winds don't really crank up too much before then. Here's your leading edge. It's going to be a little bit further to the east. This is your leading edge right now. High damaging winds right now moving through areas west of Paducah. This is your leading edge of damaging winds around about 70 miles per hour. And that'll be going towards Metropolis, Kevel, La Center, Lone Oak, Paducah. All those areas will be in the track of that leading edge. Rotation's located there, but again, it's a bit broader as of right now. We could see a tornado still, but that should stay a little bit lower. I'm also looking at other radar because, again, we have the reds are a little bit cut out on this because I have the wrong color table on, but right there in particular would be where your rotation would be, and it's a little bit broader this time. So tornado might not drop yet. We'll see if it recycles as it moves off to the east, but damaging winds is 100% still the main concern right now as it moves off to the east towards those in Paducah and Calvert City. Checking out those radar, those live cams. All right. New radar scan should be coming in here in about 30 seconds. So we'll see what it looks like by then. But again, the rotation's brought out just a little bit. Wycliffe as well as Barlow and Lusk Center, again, are the main locations right now included in this tornado warning, as well as Slater in western Kentucky. This is the furthest western part of Kentucky you basically can get to. Otherwise, we're talking about like southeast Missouri where these storms are actually at. And then they're really in southern Illinois as well. The storms are going to be exiting though southeast Missouri here over the next 30 to 45 minutes. All right, here's your latest radar scan. Let's check out the velocities again, see what we're kind of looking at again. Again, the rotation on the last scan, which again, the scans are coming in a bit intermittently, so we're not really seeing them all the time here. We're seeing them kind of like one's happening for 1 minute, another one's happening another minute, so they're a little bit delayed here. But this is your latest velocity scan. So really right here, that's a lot of wind. That's without a doubt. These are the winds going toward the radar. I'm not seeing nearly as much wind going away from the radar, so that would mean the rotation's at least weakening out for the time being. But we're definitely seeing at least that patch there near Slater of high winds around 70 miles per hour, possibly even a little bit higher as it moves off to the east. And that is, again, where we don't really have nearly as much of an inflow anymore. It's starting to become a lot more disorganized, but we still have that little hook shape, and we definitely have high winds going this direction. So if you're in anywhere in front of this storm, you want to still treat this as if it's a tornado warning because of that high wind threat that we could see really unfold here over the next 30 to 45 minutes, and really over the short term, even in the next 10 minutes, as these storms do go through Paducah and as well as the Lone Oak area. So definitely make sure, again, that you are seeking shelter and away from windows if you're in this tornado warning. And if you're back over like Kevel, for example, or Lovelessville, you got a few minutes, but I would still stay away from windows as this area of storms gets closer, because even out in front of the line, we have an outflow boundary, and that should be able to possibly produce some higher damaging winds then, and then when the line of storms actually gets to you, that will also produce some damaging winds as well. So we have basically two shots at that right now. I'm also noticing another area back near the new Grand Chain area. I've been looking at it a couple times. It's not really any rotation right now. If this is able to kind of organize itself a bit more, though, if we were to start to see that line of storms bend back a little bit and again inflow in the back end, we actually could perhaps see an isolated tornado out of that as well. But more than anything, we're definitely talking about high winds near the new Grand Chain area. So we'll have to monitor that as well pretty closely. That is moving off to the east as well towards Hillerman, as well as the Jopa area, Round Knob, basically anywhere along the southern Illinois area near the border of Kentucky is where we're looking at for that threat. But right now, again, the tornado warning still includes Barlow, Slater, and Lusk Center for the next about 10 minutes or so. It should be canceled before then if the rotation weakens out and if it moves out of the tornado warning. But otherwise, we are still watching Paducah very closely for that threat for damaging winds. This area of rotation is dropping a bit more down to the south and east, but we do have that new tornado warning. I was just talking about this. Brand new tornado warning has now been issued for those near the new Grand Chain area, Metropolis, Round Knob, New Columbia, and that is for that northern area of rotation that is located near the, again, new Grand Chain area. So again, if you're in this area, seek shelter immediately, away from windows and lowest floor possible. This is now a brand new area for a tornado warning, pretty large one as well. This goes towards Temple Hill as well as New Columbia, Midway, again, Metropolis, probably the most populated area in this brand new tornado warning. It does include a total of about 5 counties: Johnson, Massac, Pope counties, all in Illinois, and then Ballard County and McCracken counties in Kentucky. Or at least have some sort of partial inclusion in this storm. Yeah, Metropolis, Banana, as well as Reevesville, Jopa, New Grand Chain, and Olmsted are the main locations in this tornado warning. So again, if you're in it, seek shelter, away from windows, lowest floor possible. We're going to zoom out just a little bit because we have two different tornado warnings here. But the one near New Grand Chain, definitely a new development there. We definitely have some rotation. The one near Slater that's moving down to the east-southeast, probably going towards Lovelessville as well as St. John's, is weakening out a bit, but it's definitely more of a damaging wind producer. So that tornado warning should be let to expire, but we will see. For right now, though, this is definitely a more concerning area that's going towards areas like Hillerman over the next several minutes. So seek shelter again away from windows, lowest floor possible. Again, friendly reminder, make sure to like the stream. It does help get this out to more people. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, we'll keep you posted with the latest details on all the severe weather that's currently ongoing here in the parts of the Ohio Valley. Again, this is a pretty concerning storm, though, moving off to the east. Another pocket of rotation. We very well could see another threat for a possible tornado down the road. All right, well, we now have another tornado warning. This now is going to include areas near Paducah and West Paducah. So if you're in this new tornado warning, seek shelter immediately, away from windows, and lowest floor possible. We are now up to 3 tornado warnings here in the western Kentucky and southern Illinois area. And this is now going towards Paducah, a very populated area near Paducah. Lone Oak, St. John's included in that tornado warning. So seek shelter if you're in that tornado warning, away from windows, lowest floor possible. This is, again, radar indicated rotation. I'm not sure if there's been any reports on this. Yeah, there's not been any funnel cloud reports yet or anything like that as of now. But again, we might have already had one. We do not know yet. But again, the new area the area rotation's in the same area. It's near Slater. It's moving out to the east towards Cerritos, and as well as going probably near, if not just north there, of the Lovelessville area, and eventually going towards Lone Oak and St. John's. Paducah and West Paducah, you need to be very well on alert. If you're not already in that tornado warning, you want to stay very well on alert there, because that rotation is moving on to the east. But in addition to that, we are still seeing damaging winds on this leading edge that could be producing that threat as well. But again, seek shelter if you're in that area, away from windows, on the lowest floor possible, interior room of your home or building. That includes Ballard and McCracken counties in Kentucky. This is moving off to the east. Yeah, that's now our 3rd tornado warning here for this area. And we'll have a new radar scan as well here in just a moment. Let's go back to the reflectivity here for a second. Yeah, so the rotation's well out in front of it now. This is our 2 pockets of rotation. We'll have to get rid of that line. But our areas of rotation are basically circled. So the one north of New York, and our other one is near the New Grand Chain area. Still radar indicated rotation for the storm back up to the north. And seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible if you're included in Lone Oak, Concord, Hendron, as well as Fremont. Paducah is not included in this tornado warning, by the way, so if you're in Paducah, you technically don't have to seek shelter, but I would stay very well on alert, because again, this area of rotation is not too far from where you are. Very thin tornado warning overall, but Paducah is not included in this tornado warning. But I would still, again, stay on alert as this storm moves off to the east over the next several minutes. All right, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and go over to here. So again, that's our area of rotation near New Grand Chain. That area of rotation is definitely a bit stronger, I would say, than the one back near the New York and Slater area here in western Kentucky. I'm seeing more of a wind threat right now near the La Center area. So really, we're looking at probably more wind on the southern tornado warning that's going towards Paducah. We still could see possibly a tornado, though. There is an area in particular that I do want to point out. That's going to be on the northern side. We have to really zoom in for this one. It's near the Hinkleville area. So again, it's basically in between the 2 tornado warnings. But right there, we actually have a bit more intensifying rotation. And that could perhaps produce a quick tornado. That's going to be near the Hinkleville area west of Paducah. So right there on the leading edge, that is where we could also see that tornado. That's a very small area. It's not large whatsoever. And then the other area that has rotation back near the New Grand Chain area, that one's much stronger. This one is imminent of a tornado at any time. So this one definitely could produce one at any time. The other one, even back over just to the southeast of La Center, legitimately could also produce a quick tornado at any time. So those are our 2 pockets of rotation. The one that was back up here near New Grand Chain was definitely much more intense there on that last scan. New radar scan just came in. And our area of rotation now moving a bit further off to the east towards the Cerrado area. And then back near the Monkey's Eyebrow, near the Hillerman area, that is where our rotation was located. This would be where our rotation would be. It would be near the Hillerman area. that latest scan. It's going to be on the, basically, kind of this little indent that I was talking about before. And we have a little bit of inflow going in, and that's your, like, hook, but it's not very defined as of right now. But that would be where your inflow is going in. That could increase the rotation. That's what we saw in that last radar scan, by the way. So that's what we're looking at here. Back over in southern Illinois. But that's our area of rotation. In addition to this, we do have higher wind speeds building up near the Hillerman and the Jopa area, so definitely make sure you're staying away from windows. And then further down to the south, I'm not seeing anything too crazy in terms of rotation. It's a bit broader, but we still very well could see a tornado out of this. The main reason why there's not as much rotation now, but there is still a chance, is because of this little indent that we have here. That's going to build up that inflow going, basically the winds going away from the radar here. That's going to help to intensify some of the rotation. So since we already have the winds going toward the radar, the ones that are going away could help to rotate the supercell that's embedded here in this line, the MCS that we're seeing. And that could produce a tornado. The other area near Hillerman is in that same boat right now, but this is a bit of a different indent. It's more on the northern side. It's basically kind of like an over the top inflow, and then down here, that would be your winds going away from the radar. So that's kind of the difference there overall. And here's your latest radar scan. So we'll move a bit further off to the east with those arrows. Again, if you have any photos or videos, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. If you're in the tornado warnings, though, don't try to go take a photo. Again, these storms, or the rotation themselves, are definitely going to be rain-wrapped. So it's going to be very difficult to see. Again, Metropolis, Jopa are all still included in that tornado warning. That area is definitely, in my opinion, that was a bit more concerning. I still think it is more concerning. This area of rotation up here near the Hillerman area, I think that one has a much better chance of producing a tornado. The one down here that's going towards Lone Oak and perhaps Paducah, Kentucky, could also be in that same boat where we might actually see a tornado. But I think it would be brief more than anything. I think any tornadoes that we see will probably be on the brief side of things anyways. But that's probably going to be a better chance of being brief over that direction going towards Paducah. So we're looking at right now. Real quickly for this. All right. If you have any reports as well from these storms, if you're in the areas, just feel free to leave those in the chat. I'll be trying to read some of those reports. Also, this area of rotation is actually going towards the Paducah airport, which could be concerning. Yeah, this is going right towards the Paducah airport, and then back near Hillerman. That area of rotation, again, still pretty intense for the time being. It very well could produce a tornado, but the one that's going towards Paducah Airport has weakened in the latest scan, but it's been very in and out. It's been strengthening and weakening. It's been in a recycling stage for quite a while here. Check debris. I'll check on the next scan. We just looked a second ago. Not a second ago, but a few minutes ago. I'll look again, though, in a minute. That new radar scan. All right, radar's updated. The velocities have not yet updated. They'll update here in a second. But this is your latest radar scan. So again, our area of rotation up here near Hillerman and Jopa. That's where it'd be located. That's your area of rotation. And then the other one's going to be near the Cerritos area, approaching Lone Oak and West Paducah over the next 5 to 10 minutes. The Paducah airport is also going to be in the track of this within the next 5 minutes, so that's obviously a concern. If you're in Paducah, you are not in the tornado warning, but if you're just south and west of Paducah, you are included. Make sure you seek shelter if you're in that tornado warning. Again, the pink polygon is where that tornado warning is. The yellow is where we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is a bit better of a view, though, here. So, area of rotation back near Hillerman, it's broadened out a bit, but that's our area of rotation up there. Near the Cerritos area, that is where our other area of rotation is currently located. And I'm seeing another small area of rotation near the Rossington area. That's right there. So that also has a chance of producing maybe a brief tornado. That is a new little pocket of rotation. It's not too intense, it looks like. I'm just looking at another. Yeah, that is an area of rotation near Rossington. So there's now 3 areas of rotation. The one in the middle is not included in a tornado warning as of right now, but that is a new area of rotation. We still have an area of rotation near Cerritos and another one back near Hillerman. This one's moving off to the east towards Midway, Metropolis as well. You're going to want to make sure you're in your safe place, and southern parts of Illinois. And then for those back over in western Kentucky, for Paducah, be really on alert. If you're in Granville, I would recommend getting to your safe place. There is rotation here just off to your north and west, and this could get tornado warned depending on its direction, but it's going more of an east direction That is an area of rotation as well. We have 3 different pockets of rotation. Again, the one in the middle is not radar, or is not tornado warned at this time. There's already 2 tornado warnings, but if that intensifies, I would not be surprised if we see a 3rd tornado warning in the middle of this, which could even go for those in Paducah. So we'll monitor that closely. Oh, actually, let's look at the correlation coefficient here real quick. Yeah, so nothing really definitive on radar. And we have another tornado warning, I think, unless that was just a late update. No, that's a late update. Never mind. But the rotation themselves, the thing with these tornadoes is if we see one, it's probably going to be brief and weak. So it's not going to last long. And a correlation coefficient drop is not always a guarantee with these tornadoes. And sometimes they're only lifting up maybe dust. So if there is a tornado on the ground, it's not unlikely that we'll see a correlation coefficient drop. It's just a little bit less likely than in a situation where we have like a discrete supercell that's producing a tornado for maybe a few minutes. These ones are probably only going to last maybe a minute or 2 at a time at most. And that could very well, again, be in between a radar scan that we're seeing here. So that's just a key note there in terms of the correlation coefficient. But what am I drinking? It's poppy. It's like soda. Stay safe, Sparks. Stay safe. If you're in Paducah, you're not included in the tornado warning, but I would stay alert. I mean, this is the latest radar scan on the velocities. We still have rotation here, approaching Metropolis. Again, I would not be surprised if Paducah was included in a possible tornado warning here for that. But our area of rotation that's back near Jopa is a little bit, it's broader right now, but this would be our other area of rotation that's on the north, or not the north side of your screen, the top of your screen. And then further down to the bottom of your screen, that's our other area of rotation. So 3 different areas of rotation. They're all moving right now to the east. So definitely very concerning. And one of which is not tornado warned. It's not like intense to the point where they need to issue a tornado warning for the one that's just south of the Metropolis area, but it is definitely going to be something to watch for if it's able to intensify a bit. Because this is our inflow down on this storm. Again, the inflow down here is much more intense. We have a hook as well. The one up here, it's really lost its inflow, but we still have at least some rotation embedded in that area near Jopa. And then the other area near the Metropolis area, we also have a little bit of an inflow trying to develop and a little bit of a hook. It's attempting to, at least. So that's what we're currently looking at. Again, it's the basically we're looking at a bit more of a QLCS situation here. Comparison, we still have an MCS, obviously, but that's kind of what this has evolved into over the last 30 minutes. Is this a severe weather outbreak? Probably not. But it could technically be when today's all said and done, because there are going to be 3 rounds of storms today, and this is just the first one. So there's technically a chance that this would be classified as one. And if you have any friends or family in these tornado warnings or anywhere here in Western Kentucky, definitely make sure they're in their safe place, especially if they're in the tornado warnings. But obviously, if they're outside of even any of the warnings, just at least give them a call or text. Make sure they're aware of these storms today. These are definitely going to be pretty significant, though. I mean, this leading edge here is definitely capable of a tornado risk and a tornado at any time, legitimately. So we have to monitor that very closely. New radar scan should be coming in a moment. Back to velocities. Anything in Carbondale? Carbondale should be mainly rain from here on out. I'm pretty sure you're just back to rain. If you look from 155 to 159, it definitely looked like there was a tornado on the northern cell with that rotation. I'll have to look. I'll look on this in a few minutes. Whenever these tornado warnings lift, I'll look. I'm looking at my phone. I'm not seeing it, but I will look in a minute. Tornado warning has been condensed. Again, our area of rotation is circled. We have 3 different areas of rotation. The tornado warning that is just south of Paducah has condensed just a little bit. Again, Paducah is not included in the tornado warning. It includes areas just south of there. They're in Lone Oak and St. John's. So if you're in those areas, get to your safe place immediately. And again, if you're anywhere in the pink polygon, you're going to want to seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor possible. It's raining sideways near Jopa. Yeah, I mean, the velocities on radar here near the Jopa area are definitely pretty intense, and this is winds going toward the radar and away from the radar. It's pretty broad rotation still, but there are definitely high winds, and that's going to create the blowing rain effect. And even near the Metropolis area, that's also going to be a possibility there, and still some rotation there near Metropolis. The rotation back down west of the Paducah Airport is weakened out. It seems pretty substantially at this point, so the tornado risk should go down on that storm just a little bit. But the area that's back up here in the north near Round Knob and the Jopa area, probably a better chance still of maybe producing a tornado. In the area that I've circled there, it's not out of the question that we see a tornado there as well. I'm going to go back to my phone and see if I can pick out any other areas of rotation. I have to scroll around too much. Yeah, the area of rotation that I've circled in the middle there, that one's definitely intensified a bit more. And could technically produce a tornado. We're going to actually zoom in on this one real quick. Got the correlation coefficient. So we're so close to the radar site, it can be difficult to tell if there's a CC drop. But right now, I don't think there is one. It's not tight enough. But that would be our area of rotation right there. Would be near the Metropolis area. Moving towards Brookport, excuse me. And then eventually going towards Shady Grove. That'll be in southern parts of Illinois. And possibly near Paducah. It should just stay to the north of Paducah, though. Overall. This is the loop, by the way. I just want to go back here to where New Grand Chain was. Put a little line. Somebody said in my chat that there maybe was a tornado here on the ground, so I'm just going back to see if I can confirm that here. I'm not really seeing anything there. It could have been possibly before those scans, but I'm not really seeing anything definitive where there was a tornado. Now, with what we're looking at on the correlation coefficient, it is a little bit pixelated in some areas, so that might be what you're mistaking it for, but also there could have still been a tornado in between radar scans and such, but I don't see anything definitive, but I'd have to look again. All right, tornado warning has been condensed. It no longer includes New Grand Chain or Hillerman or any of those areas west. Jopa still included, Metropolis, and as well as the Midway and Round Knob. Stay in your safe place if you're just south of Paducah as well. Definitely make sure you're staying away from windows and lowest floor possible as these storms do continue to move to the east. We still have an inflow. It's impressive, but we still do have an inflow on this storm back down near the Round Oak area. A little bit of a hook. It's not nearly as defined, though. But we technically could still see a tornado out of this. There's a chance that this area recycles as it moves off to the east towards, like, Calvert City, for example, and towards the Grand Rivers area. So still something to watch there. Back down west of, south and west of Paducah. New severe thunderstorm warning does include Arlington, Fancy Farm, Mayfield, Kentucky. All those areas included. That's going to be for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. That is a new severe thunderstorm warning. Still have 2 tornado warnings right now. One in southern parts of Illinois and another one in western Kentucky. And either of these could technically produce a tornado at any time. All right, here's the latest radar scan, and we're going to go back to the velocity, or not the velocity, so we'll go back to the reflectivity, though, again. And it seems like, as of right now, the area of storms is weakening out a bit. Overall, we're probably still watching for damaging winds out of this, but I do think overall this is going to start to weaken more as it moves off to the east. But where we're looking at least at the bare minimum, is that damaging wind threat on the leading edge here. So we're still watching for damaging winds around 60 to 70 miles per hour near the Metropolis area. And as well as between there and as well as Lone Oak and St. John's. Near Paducah, for example, that's going to be an area that we still have to watch for the threat for damaging winds over the next several minutes. So if you're in Paducah, get away from windows as this area of storms approaches. Trees could very well fall over, which could obviously fall into a home. So you definitely want to make sure you're staying away from windows as this moves off to the east. Further down to the south, I'm not seeing nearly as much rotation on this cell either. That's near Lone Oak. Is definitely overall a weaker area of rotation near the Lone Oak and St. John's area. Again, we could perhaps see an isolated tornado down the road, but right now I'm definitely seeing a weakening trend on that area of rotation at this point. But I'll still keep a close eye on all these areas of rotation because, again, the tornado risk is technically not over yet. We still have a chance for an isolated tornado at pretty much any time between now and really 4 a.m. I'm not even kidding. I'm not out of this line, but we'll have more chances of an isolated tornado later tonight. Which I'll talk about more in just a moment, because we have more storms coming. It's not just this area. But that's where we're currently looking on the latest radar scan here across southern Illinois, and again, as well as Kentucky. And zooming out just a little bit more, again, this is an MCS. It's a pretty large area of storms right now. It's extending from the Marion, Illinois area, as well as back down into parts of even northeast Arkansas. So it's a pretty large area of severe weather. And this is all collapsing down to the south and east, and we'll be watching for damaging winds going through areas like Tennessee as well over the next several hours, and as well as parts of western and central Kentucky. So those will all be areas to watch for some severe weather, mainly damaging winds. We could see some large hail and perhaps an isolated tornado or two still do remain. But as of right now, the warning should be able to go for another few minutes, and then they'll probably be let to expire, but we'll see if anything does develop at all in the next radar scan. But I do think overall the line of storms here is becoming a bit weaker in southern Illinois and western Kentucky. Again, we'll see what happens. Also, I'll do a timing guide in a few minutes, so after the warnings expire, we'll go ahead and do a timing guide, so you can get an idea of when storms will hit you, if they'll actually hit you in Kentucky, Tennessee, all those areas. So just stay tuned for a few minutes, and I'll make sure to go over that. I'm going to see if we have any other watches or any new information here. See if we have any reports. If you have any photos or videos, again, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter. We do have a new severe thunderstorm watch, I believe. Yeah. New severe thunderstorm watch that has now been issued for those in central Kentucky, as well as parts of Tennessee. That's going to include anywhere pretty much in this area. I'll outline it real quick. But this is the area now included in a new severe thunderstorm watch. That'll go until 8 o'clock Central Time. It should pop up in a minute. But that does go include Bowling Green. Somerset is also included, so it goes a bit further to the east. But those are the areas now included in a severe thunderstorm watch. I'll point it out in a minute, but that's the latest for those areas. It includes Owensboro, Elizabethtown, and Somerset and Bowling Green in Kentucky. And then in Tennessee, it includes Clarksville, Cookeville, Nashville, Murfreesboro, if I'm saying the name right, as well as Columbia. All those areas in Tennessee. So Kentucky and Tennessee, a new severe thunderstorm watch. And once it appears, I'll show you a better idea of what it looks like. Thank you, Vicky, for becoming a Maximum Velocity member. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot. Yes, tornado warnings are still going. I mean, they only expire in 3 minutes, so there's really not a whole lot of reason to just cancel it. It's 3 minutes from now that'll expire anyways. I mean, there's technically still a little bit of rotation up here near the round knob area. It's just not a whole lot to really work with for this area of storms. It's back up in this little circle. I'll kind of outline it, but right there's a little bit of rotation, which they canceled that tornado warning, so... Oh, wait, never mind. Wait, did they? I don't know if they canceled it or they just updated it. I was about to say, just disappear off my map. But that area near Round Knob, there is still technically a small bit of rotation. The one that's south of Paducah, not nearly as impressive. I don't see much at all with this storm anymore, so... Geese, I'll go over that here in a few minutes. Thank you for all the new subscribers as well. Hillcast is all over the place today. It usually is. That tornado warning has been canceled, so we only have one tornado warning. It's going to be this one near the Paducah area. Again, this one, though, I've mentioned a few times, there's not a whole lot of rotation left here. Once this tornado warning gets lifted, we'll go through the timing and all that sort of stuff. That should be let to expire. And we should be able to also get that new information on the severe thunderstorm watch in a moment. Hopefully. Was issued a few minutes ago. It typically takes a few minutes to pop up on these programs, but we should have that up here in a minute for those, again, throughout parts of Kentucky as well as Tennessee. Stay here for a second. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to hit the like button down below. It does help get this out to more people. Also, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest videos and live streams. Again, we'll be live here probably for at least a few hours, just kind of going over what's happening here across the Ohio Valley. There's going to be multiple rounds of severe weather today. I might even just do breakups of these streams where we do one and possibly another one later, because we'll have multiple risks of severe weather. They're all pretty much happening at different times of the day. I'll be live for this one at least for a few hours, but there might be another one like tonight, for example. There's another threat of severe weather after 10 o'clock tonight. That could perhaps turn into maybe an isolated tornado risk initially, so we might do a brief live stream for that. We'll see. But for right now, it's going to be mainly severe weather in terms of damaging winds and perhaps a few isolated tornadoes across areas in the Kentucky, Tennessee area, so basically the Ohio Valley, back through parts of the Mississippi Valley, drops down into Alabama over the next few hours as well. So this will all be moving down that direction here soon. Here's a cyclone port, and the tornado warning has expired, by the way. But here's the cyclone port out of areas in northwest Tennessee. So we'll have live cam views out of this area as this line of storms collapses. We should be able to see a pretty nice defined shelf cloud as this area of storms moves down to the south and east, which would be really cool to see on the cyclone ports, which, by the way, these cyclone ports are available on Radar Omega. That's the sponsor of today's stream. You can check out Radar Omega with the top links in the description. It's a great radar tool that you can use. It has a lot of features like lightning detection and, again, the cyclone ports, which are live cams. They have a ton of them in Missouri and as well as Tennessee here, so we'll have a lot of views of that here over the next little while. You can download it though on iOS or Android with the top link in the description. And this again is the current live radar feed and updates very often. You've got velocities, reflectivities, all that sort of stuff, anything that a weather geek could need. Literally, it's all embedded here on Radar Omega, so you can check that out. Again, the top link in the description or the pinned link in the chat. But overall, again, we are still watching for mainly damaging winds here over the next few hours, as well as maybe an isolated tornado. Right now, the severe thunderstorm warnings that are issued, the one on the northern side of this MCS is going to include areas back up in the Metropolis area in Paducah. That is still for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. The one near Mayfield and Clinton is for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. So those are the two areas that we're watching for severe storms right now embedded with this MCS. Notice back over near the Campbell area, over just to the southwest, basically on the very far western side of this MCS. There's also another extension to this, and this could intensify more over the next couple hours as this moves down to the south and east toward areas like western Tennessee. That very well could produce the threat for damaging winds as well. Here's the severe thunderstorm watch, by the way. It has now been extended or issued now for parts of central Tennessee, including Nashville, as well as back through Somerset. And there's also a new watch for those in Elizabethtown that should appear here in a second. But this is a brand new severe thunderstorm watch. It's basically expanding a ton here. So that should be popping up on the screen here in just a moment. After that pops up, I'll do timing. $92 next week? I can't believe it. Where is it going to be 92 degrees? There's a lot of places that are 92. And DFW particularly, DFW right now is at a scorching 105 degrees, I think, for today's high temperature. Possibly 108. Today's high temperature could get as high as 108 degrees. It'll be pretty wild over there. Yeah, the QLCS situation here near the Paducah area should be winding down for the time being. We could see it kind of increase again more as it moves to the east, but new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Marion as well as Calvert City, Benton, and Murray. That is for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and a possible tornado. It's the latest for those areas. Are these quick spin-ups? Yeah, a lot of the activity that we're going to see in terms of tornadoes will be quick spin-ups. So that's primarily what we're watching for today out of this line of storms. Go back up here real quick. Nothing happened there. It's mostly just some light rain. But yeah, as this line of storms moves down to the south and east, we should get a better view of the shelf cloud. Look at this. This is the leading edge of the storms right here. You'll see it in the sky. Like a line. This is moving quick to the south. This is in northwest Tennessee. And again, this is a cyclone port on Radar Omega. And we should be able to see a shelf cloud as it moves down to the south. So we have a pretty good view here in a few minutes. But this is a pretty good live cam view that we'll have on this area of storms that's moving down to the south. It's still a good, let's see. We can kind of time it out. See how long it's going to be until it gets to Martin. About 18 miles from here. Maybe a little bit less than that. About 17.5 miles. So currently, this area of storms should reach Martin in approximately 20 minutes. It's moving about 50 miles per hour, so yeah, give or take about 5 minutes, but it should be in Martin in about 20 minutes, so right around 140. So we should have a pretty good view of that shelf cloud around 135, 140 as it approaches, and we'll definitely stay on that as long as there's no tornado warnings. We'll definitely have a good view on that. There was a severe thunderstorm warning over here for a tornado possible, but that's no longer ongoing. It's just a special weather statement, by the way. This was something we mentioned a while ago, but that is no longer a severe storm. There's a lot of strong storms ongoing, actually, in central Kentucky, and that's why there's also a severe thunderstorm watch. We'll be watching for that. All right. Now let's talk about the timing. I'm kind of forgetting about that. Let's just do it now before I forget. Let's talk about the timing, though, for today. So, beginning with right now, again, that line of storms is moving through areas like Paducah, as well as Murray. Now, this is 2 o'clock on the HRR model. It's very well behind on this MCS, so just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to zoom out just a little bit, but there's multiple different areas that we have to watch for. One of which will be in central Kentucky, and then our MCS, it's moving down to the south and east, and then another area of storms that'll develop back up in central Missouri. So this is basically number 3, number 1, and number 2. 3 different areas of storms. Eventually, by 3 o'clock, that MCS pushes down to the south and east. Some storms still ongoing near Lexington and central parts of Missouri. And then back over northwest Tennessee, that's again where the MCS is. We'll have another area of storms develop that could turn into a small line or cluster of storms right around 5, 6 o'clock. So as that approaches basically Paducah, that could intensify. More storms developing near Evansville and central and southern Illinois. By 5 to 6 o'clock, that line of storms intensifies as it moves towards Dyersburg, Jonesboro, perhaps even Memphis, Tennessee during the late or mid-evening, or really early evening, sorry, right around 6 to 8 o'clock or so, and then eventually going closer to 7. You'll notice that MCS, that initial one, is going to be weakening as it approaches Huntsville and Chattanooga, so that should be mainly just damaging winds, but that will probably weaken more and more as it moves down to the south and east. That other MCS behind it, this one could very well be more intense, producing large to very large hail and damaging winds as it approaches areas in western Tennessee and as well as again southeast Missouri. And then also another cluster of storms still ongoing in central Kentucky. This could lead to flooding and some hail and damaging winds. By 8 to 9 o'clock, that line of storms moves down to the south and southeast, and eventually going closer to 10 to 11, that moves down to the south. But notice the next area of storms that'll fire off will be pretty much in the same exact area that we've seen all the storms already so far today, and that's right there in basically southern Illinois, southeast Missouri, western Kentucky, and northwest Tennessee. That is where flooding could start to ramp up and even more large hail and damaging winds. So that's a concern for those areas. It's a very populated area still in that area, and what we'll be watching for there is the threat for some significant storms that could produce a lot of rain in a short amount of time. In addition to that, we could also see some large hail and even maybe some damaging winds. Wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado, but I think that risk stays low. This is 1 a.m., so we got a lot of rain activity by then, and then during the overnight, we'll be watching a ton of storms across this area with a lot of lightning as well, which, again, lightning is just gonna be making sleeping hard, to say the least, with how much lightning there'll be. There's already been a lot of lightning out of this first MCS. We have a lot of lightning strikes, and with Radar Omega, you can see that lightning detection that's extending all the way from Campbell all the way back into areas like southern Illinois. That's where all the lightning is currently located. We are seeing really dozens of flashes per minute. Let me check the exact count, but that's probably in the realm, I'd say, about 40 to 50 lightning strikes per minute, which in that case would be approximately 1 every second, but I'm going to double check here. Yeah, currently we're seeing about 100 lightning strikes per minute, which would actually be way more than 1 a minute. That'd be about 2 a minute, or not 2 a minute, sorry. Not 1 a minute. 1 a second. 1 to 2 a second is currently what we're seeing across this line of storms. Now, it's a pretty large area, but we are obviously seeing a lot of lightning out of this, and cloud to ground lightning is also possible, so definitely make sure that you are staying indoors as this line of storms does approach. That'll definitely be a concern. But that is your timing for tonight. All right. Let me, all right, here's the new Severe Thunderstorm Watch, by the way. So it's been fully issued now, but this is your Severe Thunderstorm Watch. It includes central Kentucky, parts of Tennessee. That does include Nashville. It goes all the way back through Elizabethtown, Somerset, Russellville, Bowling Green, Owensboro, Morganfield. All those areas in Kentucky are included. And then Nashville, Hendersonville, Murfreesboro, as well as Mount Pleasant and Jackson in Tennessee are all included in a new Severe Thunderstorm Watch. This will go all the way for another 400 minutes, which is going to be until 8 o'clock Central Time. This does go until 8 o'clock tonight. Main concerns are scattered damaging winds upwards of 70 to 75 miles per hour, and then also the scattered large hail threat up to 1.5 inches in diameter. An isolated tornado or two are possible, but overall the threat is still low. That's also included in the notes there from the Storm Prediction Center. But tornado risk right now, if it were to really be anything too crazy, it should come out of this line. It would probably be within the next hour or two. I think that's when the greatest tornado risk really is. However, there is still a tornado risk down the road. This is what we're looking at in terms of that tornado risk. It goes all the way into northern Alabama, back into central Tennessee as well for Nashville, as well as Covington, Lexington, Jackson. All those areas do have technically a low-end threat for an isolated tornado, so we still have to watch for that threat for maybe an isolated tornado over the next few hours as this line moves down to the south and east. Because again, this MCS, it looks like it's going directly east, but it actually naturally will be dropping down to the southeast over the next few hours, and that's going to be producing that damaging wind threat as it moves into Tennessee. So we'll have to watch that closely. And again, here's your live cam view out of northwest Tennessee. Shelf cloud is approaching. This will be an incredible view of this shelf cloud in the next 10 minutes. Make sure you stay tuned. This is the cyclone port on Radar Omega that we're looking at. And we have a very, very good view here of the shelf cloud. literally looking to the north, and this is that leading edge of the MCS that we're seeing. And by the way, MCS means mesoscale convective system, so that's what we're looking at here, that line of storms that's moving down here to the south and southeast. We'll have a very good view here of the shelf cloud as this approaches. It looks incredible, by the way. I mean, it looks like a tidal wave almost that's kind of here, that's coming. We've seen tidal wave shelf clouds before. I call them tidal wave shelf clouds when they look like a massive wave that's coming, but that's what it looks like here. We'll have a better view of it, though, probably in about 5 minutes. It's moving quickly, though, to the south. Again, it's going about 50 miles per hour, so we should get a fairly solid view on this as it gets closer, but that'll be interesting. Again, if you want to download Radar Omega, we are sponsored here on this live stream by Radar Omega. It's a fantastic app. Again, I've actually been using this even off stream and even, you know, when I'm streaming and they're not sponsoring my stream. It's an awesome app. Again, you have all the tools needed for a great weather forecast, and you also can just use it for, you know, whatever you would like. There's a lot of live cams like cyclone ports and whatnot. You can check it out. Again, the top link in the description is how you download it. You can get on iOS or Android. It's, again, a fantastic app. But this is the cyclone port feature. They have a bunch of live cams in Tennessee and Missouri. It's 100% worth it. It's an awesome app. It's very affordable too. By the way, if you have any questions as well, feel free to leave those in the chat. I'll be answering some questions here since we don't have any tornado warnings, but we're definitely going to be watching this live cam a lot probably over the next 20 minutes because we should have a very good view of the shelf cloud. Looks impressive. Yes, the tornado warning is over. Oh, let me change my title. Yeah, there's no tornado warning anymore. All right. Yeah, tornado warnings have expired. Again, we could see an isolated tornado from here on out, but Paducah in particular, you're just looking at rain and obviously some lightning, perhaps some gusty winds. But later today, there'll be another round of storms. If you don't see that round of storms during the late afternoon and early evening, you should have another chance going closer to the overnight hours. So there will be multiple rounds of storms today, pretty much. But you should at least see one more round of storms. Shelf clouds are really cool. They're one of my favorite types of clouds. Mammatus clouds are probably my top cloud, but shelf cloud would be probably my second favorite cloud to actually see. But obviously, it's always associated with a pretty significant storm. But man, this shelf cloud is huge. It's very defined at the front. Again, we don't have a full view of it yet. We'll have a much better view in about 5 to 10 minutes as this approaches. But it's a pretty impressive looking storm so far. Also, we can look at the satellite imagery. Let me go over that. On Radar Omega, we also have the satellite imagery. One thing to keep in mind is that this new area development down in the Campbell area in southeast Missouri, this is a new development, and if we go back a few frames, we'll go back 21 frames, we'll have a little past cast here on the satellite imagery. But this is what we're looking at here. These storms just kind of erupted back down near the Kennett area, northwest Arkansas and southeast Missouri. And all the lightning associated with these very high cloud tops, there's a ton of lightning associated with these storms. And if we go to the infrared imagery, the blue colors on this infrared imagery are indicating those very high cloud tops, which means they're very cold in the upper atmosphere. That's what we're looking at there. Very high cloud tops being located in southeast Missouri, back down south of Dexter. So that new area of development, definitely very high cloud tops there, and then also high cloud tops back near the Paducah area. And that's also aiding that lot of lightning threat right now. We have a ton of lightning with these storms, even back over in Salem, where that's just mostly rain with maybe a few rumbles of thunder. There's also a lot of lightning there too, near the St. Robert area. So an impressive amount of lightning. And you can kind of see that correlation, though, with how the cloud tops on here are blue or purple, and they're showing a lot more lightning the colder those cloud tops are. That's all the positive and negative charges that are coming together and creating a bunch of lightning. It's a very highly electrified area of storms. In addition, obviously, to be an MCS, it's, again, really impressive, to say the least, how this MCS is handled so far. Even though it's not producing a widespread damaging wind threat right now, by no means is this spanning 2 to 250 miles across like north to south, but we are definitely looking at even a 50 to 60 mile extension of a line. It's still producing a ton of lightning and really high wind still, and it's pretty impressive for what it is, especially in this environment. But we have a lot of instability still in front of this, so the severe weather threat still remains really not high, but in terms of the instability, it's definitely up there. In terms of the storm activity that we'll have today, there will be a lot of storms across this region, and all the humidity, it just equivalates to all the storm activity that we're going to see. Not just one round of storms, not just two, but we'll have 3 rounds of storms today, one of which is happening right now. Our second one will develop over the next few hours in central Missouri, and then our third one will be most likely developing sometime around 10 to 12 o'clock tonight in this area that we're looking at right now. So Flooding's also a big concern as well, so just make sure if you're in a low-level area, be alert of that flooding threat today. All right, here's the latest view of that shelf cloud. Again, on our cyclone port, this is an impressive shelf cloud. We're going to have a much better view of it again in about 5 to 10 minutes. 140 was my ETA on when this would arrive to the cyclone port on Radar Omega, so we'll see if it arrives at that time. See how accurate I am. Give or take 5 minutes, I said. So 135 to 145, that's the range, but 140 was my prediction, so we'll see if it gets there at 140. Is Middle Tennessee going to get hit? Yeah, Middle Tennessee is in the track of mainly damaging winds. So damaging winds is the main concern back over there in Central Tennessee. But you also could see it perhaps an isolated tornado. It's not out of the question, but it is a low chance overall. I don't think this will be classified as a derecho, but we'll see how it kind of evolves. What's the weirdest thunderstorm I've ever seen? I'm not sure what you mean by that. There's a lot of different ways you can describe a weird thunderstorm. By radar or by actually seeing it. Are you talking about like the cloud shapes, or are you talking about like an actual storm on radar? West Tennessee will also get hit mainly for damaging winds. That's probably within the next hour. Again, this is the current line. It's moving to the south and east. So we'll be seeing that within the next couple hours, really. That'll be impacting those areas. Also, another cool feature with these cyclone ports, this one in particular, it's pretty interesting because you can actually see the temperature as well, humidity, the wind speeds and stuff like that as well. It's really cool. So we'll have all that as well. Let me, real quick, I think I can make this a little bit more perspective here. Let me try to see if I can do that. Because we have a really cool view of this entirely. I don't want to full screen it, but I just want to get more of a view of the... Try to see if I can get as much of a view as possible here on the left side. That's a much better view. Look at that left side there. That's impressive. I zoomed out as much as possible so you can see the other side, but that's the shelf cloud. And there's multiple layers. Look at the layers. It's like a cake up here. Got 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers of clouds above. You could technically say there's a 4th layer, but there might even be more than that. This is a really impressive looking shelf cloud, though. It is pretty much a tidal wave. That's what I would say right now. It's pretty much a tidal wave. Like a pancake. It's kind of like a pancake up there. It looks like it. Is that normal? I'm looking at a shelf cloud like this. I mean, it's more normal for MCSs. Mesoscale convective not vortexes. Mesoscale convective systems. But yeah, it's typical with MCSs. With MCVs, it's different. It's usually not as often we see a shelf cloud with those. But with something like this, it's pretty common. But this is one of the more impressive shelf clouds I've seen, at least on a live stream. I mean, I've seen some pretty impressive ones. There was a few weeks ago where we had a viewer send in a video of a shelf cloud that was a legitimate tidal wave. It was the cleanest shelf cloud I think I've ever seen. And this is definitely going to be up there in terms of one of the cleaner ones we've seen. Oops, I mean, it's Abo. But yeah, this is impressive. Yeah, and this and multiple other live cams are visible on the Radar Omega app. If you want to get the Radar Omega app on your phone or on your Android device, you can download it with the top link in the description. And you also get it on Windows as well. What I'm using it on right now. We also have this live cam further to the south. So as this moves down to the south, we have multiple views of this shelf cloud. So if you have to go for a few minutes and you have to come back in like about 30 minutes or something like that, we'll be having multiple other views further down to the south. This is definitely our top view right now. I'm going to have to move this over just a little bit. I'm going to have to do that dimension. Yeah. I just have to zoom it out a little bit more so you get a better view of what's right in front. This is probably the best view we'll probably get, though, of the shelf cloud, at least in terms of a wide perspective. We'll have a closer up perspective of the very front of this here in a few minutes, but aloft, at least, that's the best view you're going to get. The multiple layers. Again, it's like, think about it as like it's a 5-layer cake almost. You know, you have your first layer down here. You kind of a second layer right here almost. Your third layer, your fourth layer. 5th layer is at the very top of your screen. You really can't see it. But those are your layers to the cake here. Are there time frames for national? Yeah, I'll do another timing guide in a few minutes. So I'll do a future radar. What kind of storm is this? What do you mean by that? This is just a severe thunderstorm. This particular area, I don't know if it's severe thunderstorm warning right now, but this is again, what's classified as is a MCS. It's a mesoscale convective system. And so usually those are like clusters, or it's basically a fancy name for like a large cluster of storms or a line of storms in a way. And so we had a QLCS earlier, which is usually when we have those isolated tornadoes embedded in a line. That's what we had back over near the Paducah area. I'm not sure if that's your exact question, but it's called an MCS. It's the weirdest thunderstorm cloud I've ever seen. I'd say Mammotus clouds are definitely up there in terms of the weirdest clouds. But, yeah, that's what I'd say. It's probably the weirdest one I've seen. All right, we're zooming back out a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and make it like that. There we go. All right, that's a much better view. But again, this is a look at the shelf cloud that is approaching areas in Martin. It has Martin, Tennessee. That's where we're starting to see that approach. Well out in front of it. Very impressive view here. And then the rain's well behind it still, but this would be basically your outflow boundary. The wind should really pick up here. Unfortunately, there's not like a flagpole sitting here where we could just see, you know, a flag waving. And we'd be able to kind of tell what the wind is, but this cyclone port on radar Omega does, I believe, have a wind feature, so we'll see if that does measure. I think this one does. Most of them do. This one in particular probably does. The next Storm Prediction Center update is at, I believe, 30 minutes from now. If I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's in 25 minutes technically. If not, it's in an hour and 25 minutes. I'm pretty sure it's in 25 minutes. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. I check the updates every single day for from the Storm Prediction Center. Actually, I think it's 3 Central. My computer on its own is in Central Time, and I'm actually in Eastern Time, so time-wise, I'm like, sometimes I'm an hour off. Yeah, let me just put this, I'll put a flag here. We'll see if we can measure the wind. Let's measure the wind with a computer. Let's do it. Yeah, here we go. This is approaching pretty quickly. We'll see if we can get a better view of the if the wind actually picks up. I said 140, by the way. We're within the 5 minutes with the shelf cloud arriving. This is pretty much spot on for 140. So look at that accuracy. Highly accurate on the timing of this. We're pretty much spot on. We should be spot on. I mean, the shelf cloud technically is not overhead yet. It'll be overhead within the minute, though. So we'll be about a minute or two off. Still pretty close, though. Sorry, I think there was still a tornado warning on. Yeah, all right. There's no tornado warning, by the way. Sorry, I did not mean to have that tornado warning tag on. I'm in Paducah. Do you see anything crazy in Paducah? Other than just gusty winds and rain? Carbondale is in the potential for flooding today. So if you're anywhere over there, definitely possible. Look at the camera shaking now. The wind's picking up. Wind is picking up here. Over in the Martin, Tennessee area. Again, this is northwest Tennessee. Wind's picking up a little bit. The trees are not swaying a whole lot, so there's a possibility that this camera itself is not mounted for like really, really high winds, but you can see on here the different data that the cyclone port will tell you here on Radar Omega, the wind direction and the heat index and all that sort of stuff. We should see this temperature here drop, actually, so that should be happening. There is a new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to include areas like Paris, Dresden, as well as Martin. This is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds with this MCS as it moves down to the south and southeast. Intensifying area of storms as well near Tiptonville. That is currently a strong area of storms, not severe yet. But that could also produce a threat for some damaging winds down the road. So we'll watch that closely. But yeah, we have other views of this area of storms here further to the south. So we'll watch that as well closely. There's some beautiful cameras over here. I'll have to show you more here in a minute. The wind's picking up more here. Camera is shaking. Yeah, if the stream is lagging, you just have to refresh. I sometimes have that issue. Florence, Alabama will not really see any tornado risk. It would be very low to zero. I think it's really that area of storms they'll be going towards Florence, Alabama. That's the northern side of Alabama. It really should just primarily be damaging winds. But even then, I think the threat of severe weather will be quite low there. This camera is shaking like crazy right now. The outflow or the shelf cloud's definitely just passed over. There's some very strong downburst winds here coming through the Martin area. This camera is shaking like crazy. And that's your actual rain back here, by the way. The actual storm itself and the rain. It's still way behind this outflow boundary, but... yeah, this camera's shaking like crazy. We had a camera back up in Missouri that was doing the same thing. It was shaking like wild. Similar to this. When the wind was going through, and it was producing damaging winds around 60 to 65 miles per hour. So there's a chance that this in particular is producing that high of winds as well. Not out of the question. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, again, make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe as well if you're new here. Yeah, we do live streams across the entire United States for severe weather coverage. We'll do winter coverage as well. We've done that in the past. And again, if you want to download this app that we're using, you can click the top link in the description. Radar Omega. Let's get some hearts in the chat as well for Radar Omega. They are sponsoring the stream today. I really do appreciate it. It does help to power these live streams as well. And it keeps us being able to upgrade our setup as well. Oh, whoa, look at that. Did you just see that? You might have saw that, but there was a lightning strike right there in the background. Now this camera is shaking like crazy. Holy crap. But right there behind, there was a cloud-to-ground lightning strike. And that's a concern today. But there was just a lightning strike there. The background. That was crazy. I'll have to see if I can clip that and show it on the stream if you missed it. Yeah, what I was saying was, let's get some hearts in the chat for Radar Omega. Again, they really do power our stuff. Like, we're able to get new setup equipment and all that sort of stuff. We've had a lot of upgrades recently with a new monitor and all that, so. I'm going to see if I can... trying to show it again if you guys missed it. There was a cloud-to-ground lightning strike, though. This camera is shaking so much. The wind is really picked up here, though. Alright, I found the clip. I'm gonna see if I can pause it at the right time. It's so brief, it's unbelievable. It's gonna take a second for me to pause this at the right time. Alright, here we go. This is the exact picture of it. The screen's gonna go white for a second, but there you go. That's the lightning strike if you missed it. It's right there. It's cloud-to-ground lightning, and we're gonna see a lot more of that here with these storms. We've already seen a lot of it as well. So that's what we just saw. There was a cloud-to-ground lightning strike. There might have been another one. I don't know. I wasn't really looking, but that was cloud-to-ground lightning right there that we just saw with this storm. This camera is shaking like crazy. This is the leading edge of this area of storms as well, so it'll be interesting to see how this does as it approaches. But that's the actual area of the storm. What we just saw a few minutes ago with that shelf cloud, that's the outflow boundary, so that's well in front of it. Technically the leading edge. See you later, Ryan. Appreciate you tuning in. This is a pretty good live cam. So it's actually positioned perfectly for this area of storms too. Trampoline meter update. Trampoline meter today is at a moderate risk. If I can pull it up here. Find it first. All right, here's your trampoline meter for today. So it is a moderate risk for flying trampolines today, so definitely make sure you are prepared and have your trampolines hatched. You can obviously see what we're seeing behind this trampoline meter is how high the winds are, even out in front of the line or the actual storms themselves. So definitely make sure you're hatching down your trampolines. We're not at any higher than a medium risk, though, for today. Even though there's an enhanced risk of severe weather, it's only a medium risk. Definitely make sure you're hatching down your trampolines. Flip them over as well. That's another thing that some people do. It's always a good idea to do that. But, that's our trampoline meter for today. Has this truck been here the entire time, by the way? I just noticed it. Has that truck been there the entire time? Has anyone been paying attention? I don't know if they're like a storm chaser or something watching this, but... Radar Omega. Radar Omega's awesome. I love using it. Love the trampoline meter. Gone forever. Gone forever is the highest level that we can go. By the way, tomorrow's severe weather threat I also might go live for, and there's also a chance I go live on Thursday. We might have 3 live streams in a row. There's a chance. Tomorrow's severe weather threat, if I go live, it would be primarily covering the event back up in the Midwest. That'll be for Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa, and perhaps the Nebraska and Kansas event. So we might do another live stream tomorrow, and then going into Thursday, there's another severe weather event expected back over in Ohio, the Ohio Valley. I might go live for that as well. So there could be 3 live stream days in a row, but we'll see. And then for the weekend, I'll be visiting my brother, so I will not have any live streams on the weekend. The car has not been there. It just came in a few minutes ago. All right, thank you. They must be storm chasing or something, because nobody would park in a very random parking lot like this. Unless there's something here that I just don't know there's here. Does anybody know if there's anything here? $5 donation if the truck starts doing burnouts. Yeah. I mean, I cannot tell them that, but, you know. That'd be really crazy. They were just watching this live stream and they actually saw that. That'd be wild. Matthew, it's not out of the question I could do that. We could do that. I don't know. I'm always open to suggestions with our trampoline meter. There will be a hail meter coming soon, by the way. Stay tuned. There will be a hail meter for vehicles, at least. I'll be making one of those here pretty soon. I might be actually using some of Reed Timmer's hail dents from that as well. You mentioned it a long time ago that I could use it, so I might do that. Truck driver do a flip. Here goes another truck. I don't know what's exactly here, but man, the wind's been super gusty here. Here's the line of storms that we've been talking about, though. Right now, seeing damaging winds around 60 miles per hour. Near Mayfield, Kentucky, just recently, there was a 63 mile per hour wind gust confirmed. That's back over in Mayfield, Kentucky. And there's also a new severe thunderstorm warning for Providence and Madisonville, Nortonville, and Kentucky. That's for 60 mile per hour winds. We also have a damage of trees down on a road in Fulton, Kentucky. So that's obviously a concern. Also, trees down on the road back over in Heath, Kentucky. So, multiple new reports there. Yes, there's another truck. The truck has disappeared since, but there's another truck there. This wind's intense. Is Bowling Green out of it today? No, Bowling Green has a chance for severe weather. You are in the new severe thunderstorm watch for mainly damaging winds, so still stay alert there if you're in the Bowling Green area. Oh, that truck's leaving. It's going. I'm not necessarily sure if it's leaving. I'm not sure what it was doing to begin with. I'm guessing it's a storm chaser, but at the same time, I don't think storm chasers usually drive trucks like that. Oh, it's gone. Truck is out of the building, guys. It's a goner. And if you're just tuning in, we are using the Cyclone port, which you can actually access yourself on Radar Omega. If you want to download the app, you can click the top link in the description on iOS or Android. There's a ton of these Cyclone ports. There's dozens. A ton of them in Tennessee as well as Missouri, and we've had great views of these storms so far. This is our next storm that's approaching. If you go back about 10 minutes on this live stream, you'll see the shelf cloud at about 1:30 or about 1:35 p.m., so about 14 minutes ago or so. If you went back that far in the live stream, you'll be able to see that shelf cloud that we saw, which was incredible. It was literally a tidal wave, and we should get another view of that down the road, so if you stay tuned. Further down here to the south, we should get another view of that in Gibson County. A lot of high clouds here so far, but we should get a better view of that again here pretty soon. I'm not sure if we're going to get a better view of it, though, because I feel like we probably saw the peak of that shelf cloud, but, you know, it might still be intense down there. We'll see. All right, well, there's no cars in the parking lot anymore, unfortunately. Not sure if we'll see another one. Unfortunate. Where is this happening? This is in Martin, Tennessee. It's pretty far northwestern part of Tennessee right now. And the main thing that we can look at here, if we zoom out, the different cyclone ports. So if you're curious on what we can actually look at for the live cams, which they're adding, by the way, Radar Omega is adding a lot more of these. So we'll have access to more and more live cams over the next several months and whatnot. But the main clusters of where they are, we have a bunch in southeast Tennessee, which there's another area of storms developing. So we might get a view on that as this pushes down to the south and east. I don't know if you can even see it. I think that might be blocked out. No, it's at the very top left of your screen, though. That next cluster, it'll start to intensify over the next few hours, so we might get a view on that. But we have a bunch of them in Tennessee, so you'll notice all these different circles that you see. These are all cyclone ports. This is the one that we are on right now. It's west of Paris in Tennessee, just southeast there of Union City. So that's where that one is right now. And there's also a couple more down to the south and east, but there's a ton back over near like Nashville, for example, and a few near the Jackson, Tennessee area as well. So we'll definitely keep a close eye on those ones. A couple new severe thunderstorm warnings that I do want to discuss real quick, and then we'll go back to that live cam. Back near the Danville area, there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Nicholasville for quarter-sized hail. Damaging winds around 60 miles per hour. That's moving to the east-southeast. Check out the velocities real quickly. Not really a whole lot of rotation, but there's a little bit there. And then near the Middleburg area and near Eubank, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. These storms are moving off to the east with a lot of lightning, so just make sure you're staying indoors and away from windows as well as that damaging wind threat does approach. There's also a new severe thunderstorm warning well out in front of the line because this line of storms is moving just so fast. That's going to include the Clarksville area, Paris, or Clarksville area, and Paris is already included in one, but Clarksville's main area included in that new severe thunderstorm warning. And that is going to be for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Also, look at the temperature drop. Another cool feature with the cyclone ports. Look at this temperature drop here. It was 87 degrees at about 15 minutes ago. It's down to 76 degrees. The temperature has dropped immensely because of that shelf cloud and that outflow boundary that we had. The heat index was over 90, so it was definitely very hot, to say the least. And now it's cooled down quite quickly. And here's a look at the storm right now. Pretty good view of the storm. Union City has a 45 mile per hour wind gust currently. Thank you for the report. There's a severe cell with a possible tornado in New York. I will check it out on my phone and see if it's anything too concerning. I mean, there's a little bit of rotation there. It could maybe possibly produce a tornado, but it's not really too intense yet. We'll keep an eye on it, though. Thank you, Bent, for subscribing. I appreciate it. Also, if you've not already, make sure to like the stream. It does help get this out to more people. And also make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. We do live streams like this all the time. Also, if you have any reports, photos, videos, anything like that of these storms, feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. If you do not have Twitter, you can join our Discord server as well. That is also in the description below. So if you have any photos or videos, feel free to send those that way from these storms today. Yeah, this is a pretty impressive area of storms. We will probably in a couple, or not a couple minutes, we'll probably about 10 minutes or so. Oh, look at that, lightning right there. But in about 10 minutes or so, we'll probably go down to the south. There'll probably be another view of that shelf cloud. But we're going to watch this storm go through here. We just saw a cloud of ground lightning, it looked like right there. There's a lot of lightning in this area, so interesting to see how that all evolves. The reports just heat here. I can relate. There's heat everywhere. DFW has been really bad recently for heat. It's gonna be 108 degrees potentially in DFW today. It's extremely hot. I'm gonna check out what the current temperature is there. Yeah, it's already 103 degrees in DFW. And it's only expected to go up from there. So it's gonna be pretty hot today. Intense storm. There's a lot of lightning. I've seen good 3-4 flashes. See if we can get any more here. There's a lot of lightning, though. I mean, we're talking about this particular area of the storm. There's this, again, the MCS, it's a big cluster of storms, but it's large, the mesoscale convective system. But what we're looking at here, it's more of the southern side of this entire line. This area is probably producing, in terms of lightning per minute, probably in the range of 10 to 20 strikes per minute. So that's basically one every 6 to 12 seconds. But again, this area is still large on the southern end. So we're still looking further to the west. This is looking northwest. Looking off to the west here, that's another area of the storm. And then over here is where we're also looking at the eastern side. Let me just go ahead and put it into another perspective, or dimensions. Try to zoom it out a little bit more so you can see a bit better of the right side. The right side has a lot of lightning, so we'll zoom it out there. I think we can go over just a little bit. There we go. That is the better view of it here. Can we see the radar? Yeah, I'll show it here in a second. I don't think I can do dual view with this, but this is the current live radar across this area. This is what we're currently looking at. So, and the line of storms, what we're currently looking at is Martin, Tennessee. That's where storms are quickly approaching. So, we're primarily stay on that. Again, a couple cells back over in central Kentucky. Those are mainly just damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Again, if there's any tornado warnings or anything like that, we'll definitely shift gears. But for right now, this is a very impressive area of storms right now that's approaching the Martin area. Look at the massive amount of rain that's falling behind it. The visibility will drop quite quickly, too. You'll probably notice, you won't notice it yet, but probably in about 5 minutes or so, the trees in the very far back will start to basically go away because of the reduced visibility. But that's probably a good 5 or maybe 10 minutes from now. The area of storms is still a good 5-10 miles away. Freeze down in Murray, Kentucky. Thank you for the report. Isolated severe weather for Philadelphia. It's a pretty low risk today. The Northeast event we will not be really covering too much of, but if there's anything that goes crazy, we'll go up there. There's a low chance for a brief tornado, but there's a little bit of rotation with the cell back over in New York, so we'll keep an eye on it. Man, this is an amazing view. It really is. I can't wait till Radar Omega has a lot more of these cyclone ports in like the Midwest and Central Plains and like everywhere pretty much. If they have like, let's just say 10 in every state, it would be incredible because we can see stuff like this. This is like, it's extremely helpful, not just because of like the, being able to see this for like a viewer's perspective, be able to see what the storm actually looks like outside, but also, predicting what the storm's doing. Like if there was to be like rotation in one of these areas of the storm, we'd be able to see it. It's a little bit blurry, but regardless, it's a really good live cam view. And also notice all the scud action in the front. A lot of scud clouds. And by the way, scud clouds, you might notice here, this looks like a funnel cloud. That is definitely just a lot of scud activity. But we'll have to watch this still. There is still a chance for a brief tornado in this, but these cyclone ports on Radar Omega are extremely helpful. Just northeast of Murfreesboro should get hit by 3:15. I think it'll be probably closer to 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock, but I can double check on the timing there. That's in the Nashville area, so we'll see. There's a lot of lightning still. Again, look at the top right of your screen. You're going to see the most frequent lightning at the top right, and also the intense clouds that are now approaching. And that, by the way, the trees in the background are starting to kind of disappear. I think the first layer there disappeared. This isn't a whole lot of elevation. We're not looking at like a huge mountain right here, so we're not going to be able to see like that rain just fall there and not be able to see the mountain anymore. But we're looking at like layers of trees basically, so we'll kind of see that reduced visibility really kick in here over the next few minutes. Look at the scud cloud. That's super low. That's a cloud of ground lightning right there. Super low scud cloud though right there. Pen's shaking. That is true. How's it going, Shelly? Look back. More lightning there on the back left. Actually, cloud of ground right there. A lot of lightning. And there's another, it looks like cloud to cloud lightning at the top right. Which, again, most of the lightning typically is cloud, like, it just stays in the clouds. It's not only like cloud to ground, it's cloud to cloud. That's what you call it. Lots of clouds, but that's typically what we see in terms of lightning. But we see a lot of cloud to ground lightning out of this. So I can't stress this enough, though. If you're anywhere near these storms, definitely make sure you're staying indoors. Cloud to ground lightning is definitely a possibility. You don't want to be caught outside while this is passing by. Oh, look at this. There's a new truck. Maybe it's somebody that was watching us. A new truck has entered the building. Not sure where they're going. That truck is going... Do not stop. I think they're just going to keep going. Oh, there's actually a road right there. They're going somewhere. The truck has entered the building and has now left the building. Yeah, if you're just tuning in, this area of storms that we're looking at is back near the Martin, Tennessee area. So this is a bit more of a zoomed out look of everything that we're looking at here. But this is what we're looking at in terms of the storm. And if we go to the 3D view with Radar Omega, you'll actually see the storm itself it's not far. That's Martin right there, but this is the view of it. So it's basically gonna be over top of Martin here in a minute. Gardner, Midway, all these areas, but that's our live cam view. That's looking directly into the storm. And if we zoom out just a little bit here, it's a really cool 3D view of what we're looking at. A lot of heavy rain. Look at the pink up here. That pink would represent the potential for even maybe some small hail, so we might see that. But definitely some damaging winds out of this. If we go to the velocities on this as well, yeah, definitely gonna be some damaging winds. I'm not seeing any rotation really on this particular area of the storms. I don't think we have a tornado possible label on anything anymore, so we should be able to just not worry too much about the tornado risk. Let's go back to the live cam. Hopefully the Storm Prediction Center will downgrade. I don't know if they'll downgrade the risk for today. I think the enhanced risk will stay through Tennessee. The hatched area that they have out probably will not have to be that large in the next outlook, is my guess. We'll have more information on that soon. A very thin area of storms. This area in particular is, that we're looking at here, this is a very thin area. But further to the north in like Kentucky, it's a very large area. It's a lot of rainfall, but this is very thin. It's very new development. And when we see this new development, I'm just going to tab out here real quick. But when we see this new development here, like this is all new storms that have just developed. Very thin areas. That's pretty typical. It's a little bit fatter since it's been going for a while, but this literally has developed in the last like half an hour. So that's why we're seeing a much thinner area. So the area of storm shouldn't last as long. New damage report as of 1:25 p.m. in Case, Kentucky. That's in Fulton County. Tree down on east intersection of Kentucky 166 and Kentucky 239. Another tree down in Fulton on Pearl Street. So that's a new update there. More damage out of Benton as well in Benton, Kentucky. Multiple trees and power lines down there. And then northwest of Murray and Kirksey, Kentucky. Trees and power lines down there as well. And then further to the north in Golconda in Pope County, Kentucky. Large tree down on a house. That's the big concern, by the way, with these high winds. Trees could fall down onto homes. I cannot stress it enough. Make sure you are staying away from windows. Let's go back to this view. We'll go a bit further to the left here. We'll screen it. There we go. This is a very impressive view, though, of the storm. It's very thin, so this rain shouldn't last too long. It should last about 15-20 minutes. Where's this camera located? This is in Martin, Tennessee, where we're currently at. It's pretty much northwest Tennessee, if you're not too familiar with this area. Again, you can view these live cameras on Radar Omega. You can download it with a top link in the description below on iOS or Android. Get Radar Omega and see these live cameras. They have a ton throughout Tennessee. This is one of the ones that we're looking at right now with the thunderstorm approaching. There's been a lot of lightning. We've probably seen a good, I don't know if anybody's counting, but I think we've seen about 4, maybe 5 cloud to ground lightning strikes, and then a lot of cloud to cloud up here. But we've seen some cloud to ground lightning. You never know. We could even see one literally happen right in front of our eyes here on this live cam. It's entirely possible. How's it going, Jack? This is an amazing view. There's another really cool view near Nashville that's actually has some mountains there. I'll show you that here in a second. Clouds are moving. That is true. They're definitely moving. Moving pretty quickly, too. How's it going, Geography Genius? Be a genius at geography. Yes, I believe Radar Omega is $8.99 on Android and iOS. But honestly, it's 100% worth it. You also get all the radar and all that sort of stuff. There's different subscriptions, too, that you can get for certain things. This live cam in particular is incredible. One of the best parts of this app. Being able to see all these different views. But yeah, this is live right now. So there wouldn't be like rotation in any part of this or whatnot. We would definitely be able to pick it out, at least in this small scale area. And you might not be able to see it, but the very top left of your screen, you can actually see how many people on Radar Omega are actually actively viewing it. It's at the very top up here. But there's 34 people watching it. So maybe some of them are watching my stream too. I don't know. This is pretty cool. I'll watch this for a couple more minutes. I'm actually, real quickly, we're going to go down to the south. I'm curious to see. Yeah, no shelf cloud yet approaching Gibson. We should have that here pretty soon. But that's the next radar, or that would be the next camera that we would be looking at for a shelf cloud, which we already saw out of this earlier with that outflow. The rain is definitely just picking up now. It should really start to downpour here in the next couple minutes here in Martin. Yeah, there's a lot of lightning. On the left side of your screen, it'll probably be a lot more visible for flashes. In here, there's a ton of rain. So this is a lot of rain right here, obviously. And then over here, at the top of your screen, you can notice there's still cumulus clouds visible, and that's because it's not raining there. But this is all rain behind it. So the flashes of lightning should be a bit more visible at the left side of your screen. But we could see cloud-to-ground lightning in front of us. So that's basically what I'm looking for here. It's entirely possible. Let's go over here real quick. By the way, again, if you have any photos or videos, feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. Also, there's apparently a very large water spout near Michigan about 2 hours ago. I'm going to retweet the photo on Twitter. It's actually pretty impressive. Canadian smoke is clearing up for central Illinois. Yeah, it should be. Look at the rain picking up, by the way. The visibility of the trees is diminishing quickly. Rain hasn't really fallen yet here where the camera is, but it should in the next like 30 seconds. Yeah, the rain's picking up immensely. Once the rain really starts picking up, we'll probably go off this camera because there won't be much to see other than just rain. But the wind's also picking up a bit. The leading edge of this area of storms, the wind is definitely picking up. Camera is shaking. Left side of your screen, that's where most of the lightning flashes have been visible. There was just one here on the right as well. Not really visible, but it's a rain wall. Yeah, pretty much. It's basically a wall of rain. Rain shafts, whatever you want to call it. Yes, Potato. I did tweet that. Yeah, you can find it on my Twitter. The video itself is like a black screen. It's just audio, so you can check that out on Twitter. There's also just some lightning on the left side, by the way, in case you missed it. Raindrops are hitting the camera. It's getting crazy. I mean, this is pretty windy, I'll say that. The wind is definitely kicking up right now. And the best way to gauge how windy it is not looking at the camera, really. It's looking at these trees. The wind gusts are probably around 20 miles per hour is my guess right here. The leading edge of that outflow boundary that we looked at about 25 minutes ago, it's about 210. So actually, it's about half an hour ago when that shelf cloud came through. That's where we had some high wind gusts as well. But embedded in this thunderstorm, there's definitely some high winds. If I had to personally seek shelter, no, because I'm not in the storm. Paducah is all right for now. You'll have another chance of severe weather later, and I'll talk about more on that in a little bit when I get the chance. I've already kind of talked about it a few times. There's 3 rounds of storms today. This is the first one. The second one will be back within the next few hours in Missouri for mainly large to very large hail and damaging winds that'll move into the same areas that have already seen severe weather, so near Paducah later. And then around the late evening into the overnight hours, that's our next chance for some significant storms. Those will be primarily producing a lot of rain, which will lead to flooding. Water tower is gone. That is true. Yeah, if you want to really pick out anything, you would have to look at the water tower. That thing went from being able to be very visible to not visible at all anymore because of all this rain. And the only visible cumulus clouds left that are not covered over by rain yet is at the very top left of your screen. Very hard to even see that. This camera is shaking like crazy. The wind is really picking up. You can see that on the tree. This is really high winds right now. In Martin, again, we're in Martin, Tennessee. Very high wind speeds. And other trees, whoa, that was a weird line. The trees over here, they're not as visible. You have to really look at the one here on the left. This wind has picked up immensely, though. It's probably around 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts, my guess. Maybe 50. Trees are swaying. That's another good thing with this this particular live cam on the Cyclone Port on Radar Omega is that there are trees visible, which gives us an idea of the wind. Some places don't even have trees, so it makes it a little bit harder to gauge the wind speeds. Which I believe, again, I think this one measures wind, but I don't think it's working right now. But there's different data that you can see here. So you can see how the temperatures drop, by the way. I mentioned this earlier. The temperature about half an hour ago was like 85 degrees, and now it's 73. This live cam has officially gone out, by the way, because of how high the winds are. So I believe that live cam has completely just died because of the high wind speeds. Yeah, this one's gone. So this live cam has officially gone out as of now. So unfortunately, we don't have a live cam view of it, but this is what it looks like right now near Martin. Again, that's a very intense storm. Look at this storm right here. That's probably what just caused that to go out. This is a pretty intense, it looks like maybe even a hail core forming, but in addition to that, a pretty strong area of damaging winds right now, moving through the Martin area and as well as Dresden. So that is now what we're seeing out of this area of storms is now, obviously that live camera just went out, but, wow. I'm not sure if the data here will continue. I'm pretty sure the entire system just went out for that one, so. Yeah, Lee, if you want to get this app, again, it's Radar Omega. You can download it with the top link in the description below. It's really worth it. There's a lot of live cams. And again, as these storms move down to the south and east, we have more live cams. It's not just that one. We will have more live cams back down here near Milan, for example. This is what it looks like right now. A lot of high clouds, nothing too crazy yet, but our storms are yet to come. They're at the very bottom here. This one's a bit more angled up to the sky, which actually might be a cool view. Once these storms approach, you might actually be able to see into the clouds a bit more. And then we have more down to the south and east as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to be able to see these storms down the road. There's also another storm back over here near the Carthage, Tennessee area. This is what this one looks like. Mountainous region, by the way. This is what I was talking about near Nashville. But overall, the only cumulus clouds are at the top right of your screen, which I don't think are visible, but they're pretty minimal. That's the other storm that's over there. This is what it looks like from a distance. And another part of Tennessee, which I forgot to look at the name. That's the Baxter Fire Department back over in Cookeville. So that's the other live cam over there. There's a bunch of live cams over there too. So, yeah. All right, let's real quickly break down the radar because I know a lot of you are wondering what's happening. What are we expecting over the next few hours? St. Louis, I've had a couple people ask about that. There's nothing happening there now. Don't really expect much until tonight, really. So the late evening. We still have storms going through western and central Kentucky. These are producing damaging winds around 60 miles per hour. Moving to the east. These will be moving through areas like Nortonville, Madisonville, Hopkinsville, and Oak Grove, and eventually towards Providence. These have been capable of producing as high winds of 65 to 70 miles per hour, and they've also produced damage. You'll notice these different damage reports like Benton, Kentucky, for example. Multiple trees and power lines down, and that's, again, definitely a concern with this line of storms as it moves off to the east. We'll be watching for more of that damage to really just accumulate here across Kentucky because of these high winds. So what I recommend you doing if you're in the track of these storms or if you're currently about to be impacted by them, if you're like in a severe thunderstorm warning, for example, get away from windows. Get on the lowest floor possible. Treat it as if it's a tornado warning because we've had a lot of trees fall down already, and we've already had a report of a tree falling onto a home. So you definitely don't want to be caught up in a situation like that. But further down to the south, near areas like Paris and as well as Clarksville, those are also areas that we have a chance for damaging winds around 60 miles per hour as these move down to the south and east, and then also back down where we just were near the Martin area where the live cam has officially gone out. Oh, it's back. All right, let's actually go back to this. This is in Martin, Tennessee. This is where we just were. This live cam actually came back. Thank you, Jack. I didn't read that message. but I do appreciate it. I appreciate you telling me that. But this is the area that we're just in. This is Martin, Tennessee. This is where the wind speeds got really high. I think they're going to be dying down a bit, but it's super... The rain's falling like crazy. Yeah, this is the, again, cyclone port on radar Omega. Also a lot of lightning. I don't think we'll see any cloud of ground lightning unless it literally struck right in front of us, but the wind speeds are just so high. In addition to that, there's just so much rain falling. And I think this one went out again. This camera's gonna be tough. It's battling a lot of wind. Yeah, this is the live cam itself. I'll put a black dot on it. That's where it is. It's on the west side there, Martin, Tennessee. Again, in northwest Tennessee, and this is where the storms are right now. They're moving through Martin. It makes it a bit difficult to maintain that live cam because of the how high the winds are, especially. This is a better view of it. Yeah, we have a little hail core there on the north side of Martin. If the camera comes back up again, we'll definitely have a possible view there of a hail core. That hail core might just go down to the south and east. And the hail core itself, it's not producing like massive hail by any means. It's probably in the ballpark of, you know, pea-sized hail or something like that. It's nothing crazy. Look how much lightning there is, by the way. Look at all this lightning. An insane amount of lightning right now on the northwest side of Martin. There's a ton of it, especially near Union City. I know somebody mentioned in chat there were wind gusts around 45 miles per hour in Union City at least. That's a lot of lightning. And that is also the possibility for cloud of ground lightning not out of the question either. Alright. Let me just zoom out a little bit here. I think I can actually do this. Let's try this. How you do that exactly. The way that you can actually... Somebody can probably tell me, but there's a way that you can do it with Radar Omega where you do like a elongated area here. You're able to track downward. Somebody can tell me, let me know. That's the one feature I've been able to do. I was going to track out this entire line down to the south and east. Gonna get crazy here in Hopkins, Kentucky. Yeah, Hopkinsville is going to be definitely in the track of some high winds. This is what it looks like over near Hopkinsville right now. The high winds are approaching, going towards Hopkinsville. This is a live radar we have here. But definitely some high winds. I'm not really seeing any rotation on the front edge of this line. But this is what we're looking at in terms of high winds. It's on the very leading edge here. And definitely going to have some damaging winds up to 60 to 65 miles per hour. But definitely stay away from windows as this line approaches Hopkinsville. That's some high winds for sure. Gibson County EOC showing a shelf cloud now. We're talking about this one. Or where was it again? I was right here. Yep, there you go. That's the shelf cloud that we're looking for. Oh, the camera's moving. That's your shelf cloud. That's over here. This is the one that just went. This is the one that's going through Martin right now. The one that we're looking at before. This is the shelf cloud live. No problem, Noble. Hold left click on the thing you want to click. New severe thunderstorm warning for this area that the shelf cloud's going toward, by the way. That's from Milan as well as the Humboldt and Mackenzie's area. So seek shelter immediate, or not seek shelter, but stay away from windows as the storm does approach. I'm trying to figure this feature out here. I'll figure out later. I don't know how to do that. Also, the severe thunderstorm warning for Hopkinsville has just been updated. It's just condensed more, so no longer includes areas west of Princeton, basically. But this is going to be still for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. So that's the latest out of there. I don't know what we're looking at here. There's a device over here that looks like it's plugged into a wall. Nice. All right. Let's come back down here. We'll go back to the shelf cloud view. Is Martin count? Let me check the Martin one real quick. I don't think it's back up. Oh, no. Oh, whoa! You see that? That just happened. Cloud of ground lightning literally in front of here. I wish I clicked like 2 seconds earlier. That was literally right in front of us. The cloud of ground lightning. It just happened, and now the winds are picking up again. I don't know if you guys were able to see that lightning in time. It was really, really just quick. If somebody can clip that, let me know. I know there's a clipping feature on YouTube. If you can send me a clip of that on either Twitter or on Discord, feel free to send me a link to that clip. You replay it? I'll try to replay it on my other monitor. Wow. That was wild. I'll try to see if I can get a replay of it, though. Alright, this is a replayed version of it. Oh, another one! That was 2 in a row. That one was literally right here. Alright, that one was that was a much cleaner view of cloud of ground lightning. This is the other one. Another one right here on the left, too. That just happened. There's a lot of cloud of ground lightning. I think I'm going to stay on this for now. I'm not going to... Just in case something else happens. I'm not going to show you the replay. I'll show the replay in a minute of the farts one, though. Farts one was literally right in front, too. Wow, that's crazy. Might get another one, we'll see. Yeah, if you get any of these lightning strike clips, definitely feel free to send them to me on Twitter. And if you have any photos or videos of anything as well, feel free to send those to me on Twitter. Again, my Twitter handle is @MaxVelocityWX. There's links to those in the description below. I organized the description now, so it's much easier to read different things. So you should be able to find those links easier down in the description for socials and all that. I will go back to the other live cam in a minute. I'll go to the live cam that was on the shelf cloud in a few minutes. It's not really a good live cam view yet. It will be a good view in probably about, I don't know, give or take 15-20 minutes. If you're just tuning in, again, friendly reminder, hit the like button down below. It does help out the page a lot, and it is free to do. It does help get this out to more people. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. It's easy to do. Click the red button down below and subscribe. And click the bell icon so you're notified with the latest videos and live streams. We're 17 subscribers away from 58,300. So subscribe. Again, if you want to see these cyclone ports, these live cam views, there's another cloud of ground lightning strike. But if you want to get these access to these live cams and all that, you can get it on Radar Omega. The top link in the description below is where you can download it on iOS or Android. It's $8.99. It's fantastic. It has a lot of features, including the live radar and the cyclone ports. Really, again, I highly recommend getting the app. Again, you can download it with the top link in the description below. A lot of features to it. It's really my favorite weather app now. I've had a different favorite before, and this has definitely turned into my favorite as of recently. It's amazing. There's a lot of different live cams, especially this one that we're looking at. We've seen, I don't know, about 4 different cloud of ground lightning strikes now here in Martin, Tennessee. So, wild stuff. I'm going to stay on this live cam probably for one more lightning strike, and then I'm going to show you the clip if you missed it. The other one was pretty cool. Main concern for central Kentucky is damaging winds up to about 60 to 65 miles per hour. The new SPC outlook should be in about 36 minutes. There's another car going by. It's not a truck this time. It's an actual car. Geography, if you enjoy meteorology, you can. You have to have a passion for it, though. It's one of those things, if you really have you want to go into whatever you have a passion in. You know, you want to study, if you're going to study meteorology, you want to make sure you have that passion. You want to study being an accountant, you want to make sure that you have that passion for it. You know, whatever it might be. Do what you love. What I'm doing. Alright, I haven't seen lightning in a little bit, so let's go and show you this other clip. This is the one from before. Look at the top here. This is literally what happened at the very beginning there. That was literally right there. I don't know how close it exactly was. Let's see if I can pause it. Oh, look at that. It struck the tree. You see that? If you zoom in, that literally struck the tree. That's how close that cloud to ground lightning strike was. It actually struck the tree right there on this live cam. That is crazy. Wow. Yeah, that literally struck the tree. That's wild. I don't know if we can see. I don't know what tree that was. We have a better view of the trees now since the rain is winding down a bit. It's kind of like in the middle here. It was one of these trees right here. That literally struck the tree though, right here. And that's why, by the way, if you're ever in a thunderstorm and you don't have a way to get to shelter, don't be under a tree. Because that's tall and lightning strikes it, it comes right down. You know, you're getting struck by lightning pretty much. If you're like an open field, it's a much better spot because you're not, you know, prone necessarily. If you're like lying down or whatever, you're not necessarily prone to that lightning strike that's going to hit a tall object. That's wild. That literally struck the tree. Is meteorology stressing me out in any way? I mean, the degree itself, math is a little bit stressful, I'd say, but everything else hasn't been too bad so far. Like, Calc 2 and 3 are usually pretty difficult. You're taking the meteorology degree. Alright, here's the shelf cloud, by the way, if you want to see that shelf cloud. Whoa! Look at this thing. Holy cow. We've missed a lot since looking at Martin. This is a massive shelf cloud. You see the multiple layers. We're looking directly up. Impressive, to say the least. Wow. This is a beast. I'll say that. These live cams cannot be in any better of spots, to be honest. Like, this is... wow. That is wild. We're only going to be able to see it probably for another couple minutes until the shelf cloud passes over, but this is an impressive shelf cloud. Wow. The winds are definitely going to pick up as well. Having a good summer? I'm having a pretty good summer. It's been busy, but doing pretty good. How's your summer been? This is directly from Radar Omega. This is a better view of that shelf cloud a few minutes ago. This is what it looked like. There's multiple layers to it. Put in a very small box here for a second. It's very, very defined right here. Had multiple layers and whatnot. So that was what it looked like before. But this is now what it looks like. Obviously, we're not like underneath the shelf cloud. It's pretty cool. This is the leading edge here. Winds should start to pick up as well. You got the downburst winds and whatnot. Again, on that leading edge here of the outflow boundary. The rain is still a good 20-30 minutes away probably, but this is the leading edge of all of it. It's heading directly toward me. Hey, stay safe. Do I have a tornado chase, or do I have plans to in the future? I've never tornado chased particularly. I mean, I've done a hurricane chase before. It's a little bit different. But I'm not opposed to it. If I were to ever do a tornado chase, though, in, like, the Great Plains, for example, or something like that, I'd probably go with, you know, actual storm chaser, or something like that. But I might do a storm chase at some point down the road. If I were to do a storm chase, though, it would probably be next summer. It would probably not be in the next, like, you know, 60 days or whatnot. These are impressive clouds right here, by the way. These are the cumulus clouds. Winds are picking up now, you can tell by the camera shaking. Winds are now picking up from that outflow boundary. Impressive clouds behind it, too. Really, really cool. The tornado risk really anywhere here in the Ohio Valley is very, very low. Again, an isolated brief tornado is possible, but I would be most concerned about the damaging wind threat. Flying trampolines are obviously possible, and yeah, I mean, that's definitely a concern. It's mainly damaging winds up to about 70 miles per hour. Oh, look down here at the bottom of your screen. You can see the dust being kicked up by the wind. I think they're actually picking up now. I think they're tilting the camera. The dust is being picked up at the very bottom of your screen right now. Look at the very bottom of your screen. There's dust being kicked up from this wind. Oh, whoa, whoa, power flashes. Lots of power flashes. Whoa, the bottom of your screen. Bottom left, there was just a ton of power flashes. I'm not sure if it was entirely picked up by the live stream, but there was just a ton of power flashes right there by dust being kicked up. That was a ton of sparks. This is currently in, what county is this? Can somebody tell me? I don't want to tab out just because of what's happening here. This is south of Martin, Tennessee. This is like parts of western central Tennessee. A lot of dust being kicked up. There's a ton of power flashes. I mean, literally, the power line was just flickered a ton right there. We just saw a ton of flashes. I'm not sure if that got picked up by the stream because the Radar Omega tag is there. Should really put the Radar Omega tag in the bottom right. But I'm not sure if I picked that up or not. Did you guys see the flashes at the bottom left? I don't know if you guys saw them. If you didn't, I can probably go back and see if I can get a clip of that. This is a tornado forming. I don't think this is a tornado. This is on the leading edge of an outflow boundary. We saw it. Okay, cool. But this is on the leading edge of that outflow boundary right here. Here's the rotation. There's like no rotation there, but this is just probably from damaging winds more than anything. So okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure. Those are crazy flashes. I don't know what exactly was there. It must have just been a power line with high winds, and there's a lot of dust being kicked up as well. Not sure how long we'll be on this cam for, but wow. And also the temperature, by the way, this is what I mentioned before with the Radar Omega. You'll notice the temperature just plummeting right now. It's 90 degrees, which might not sound like much of a plummet, but this temperature will drop probably a good another 10 degrees over the next 20 minutes. It was peaked at 92 today, 93. And the temperature's dropping quickly. That's your outdoor temperature. Dew point is 67, which is pretty favorable for severe weather, especially with that temperature dropping. Yeah, also, I actually measured, I didn't even see this, but there's rainfall measurements year to date, 9 inches of rain here. You'll probably get another half an inch to an inch of rain at least today here. And sustained winds have picked up. It peaked at about 30 miles per hour for sustained winds being recorded here by the cyclone port. So, data that's pretty important as well. See you later, Potato. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, if you have any photos or videos, you can tweet those on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. You might have a chance to get featured. Again, make sure you take any photos or videos safely. Again, this is what we're looking at right now. This is the live cam view that we have. It's looking this direction. It typically would be looking that direction. It's actually looking this way right now. But this is the line of storms that's approaching that area. It's a little bit weaker near the Dyer area in Rutherford. But that's moving down to the south and east. Near Martin, we also have another view of the storms that just went through here. That cloud ground lightning and whatnot. But that's back up near the Martin area. But the main area of storms that we're seeing the most intense area is really going to be back up in near the Hopkinsville area. And Hopkinsville actually just recently had a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust reported by a trained spotter. The severe thunderstorm warning has been upgraded to 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds. That's for Madisonville, Earlington, as well as Nortonville, Oak Grove, and as well as the Hopkinsville area. And then there's a new severe thunderstorm warning for Central City, Greenville, Elkton, and a few other locations in there as well. There's also multiple damage reports coming out of areas west of Clarksville. New one in Dover, Tennessee. That's for 60-mile-per-hour winds that was estimated. Trees down on Wyatt Hollow Road, and then back over in the Bumpus Mills area. Trees down on that road as well. Those are the most recent damage reports that we've had. This camera may shift a bit further off to the north. Hoping it does. Second. They've been kind of turning it different ways. Do I think the tornado risk should be upgraded? Probably not. I mean, the only reason why there would be an upgrade tornado risk, in my opinion, would be because of what we might see later tonight. But even then, I've only seen really... I have low confidence even then that we'll see tornadoes. That'd be for, like, northwest Tennessee back through western Kentucky again. And this is what I'm talking about, by the way, for later tonight. I'm just going to show this really quickly, and then we'll go back to the live cam. This is the timing later tonight, so this is right now, 4 or 5 o'clock, storms approaching Nashville, going through Kentucky, and that's, once these get here, we'll probably end the live stream, unless this area becomes significant, and then eventually going closer to around midnight or so, we have more storms forming near Kentucky. This is what could cause a flooding threat overnight, with a threat for maybe an isolated tornado as well, across areas like northern Tennessee, western Kentucky, and eventually during the overnight hours, those storms move down to the south and east, and it'll produce a really significant flooding threat more than anything, with maybe an isolated tornado as well. Here's your flooding or the rain that's being estimated right now. We could see some areas get upwards of 6 to 10 inches of rain. That could be very significant. So that's what we are hoping that does not happen, but it is a possibility that that does happen. And yeah, it's definitely a concern for sure in those areas. That's being estimated at least by radar later. So we'll have to monitor that closely. All right, let's zoom out again. Just going to see what other live cams we have coming up. We have another one over in Madison in Kentucky. We'll have a view of that as well. We have another one near the Parsons area. And we have a few others, again, near Nashville. So we have multiple live cams still to come. We have, again, multiple other views of when that shelf cloud comes through. The best view of the shelf cloud, I think, so far was this most recent one with this area. So we'll see what happens as this continues to move off to the east. Almano, Tennessee. I have no clue where that is. Is that like east? So many live cams. I don't know which one. I don't know where. I wish there was only like 3 so I could know where Almano is. Oh, look at this. This is from earlier, I think, right? Oh wait, no. This is in Crockett. Look at this. This is the shelf cloud right now moving through Crockett. I believe. That is your shelf cloud. Another impressive storm. See you later, Ro. Appreciate you tuning in. See you, Christopher. Chad, I've done severe weather coverage in Iowa, but I haven't really had any live cams. This one? Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be back in about 30 seconds, or probably about a minute or so. I'll be right back. I'm going to keep this live cam on for you guys. I'll be right back in 1 minute. Stay tuned. All right, I'm back. That's a really good view, though. This is the other device that I was talking about. This is the one that we didn't have a live cam on before, but this is a really good view of it. We do have a video out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky from Michael on Twitter. This is this video of the winds picking up. This area in particular did see damaging winds up to about 70 miles per hour. There was a confirmation of that. This is probably more in the range of like 40 to 45, but we did have a confirmed report there of about 70 mile per hour winds over there at Hopkinsville, Kentucky. So that was sent in by Michael. Thank you. That is obviously a concern. Is that damaging wind threat upwards of 70 miles per hour? Definitely not a question there. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for Hopkinsville for that threat as well. Yes, the new SPC outlook, the new Storm Prediction Center outlook, will be out in about 20 minutes. So when that comes out, we'll go over it and give you an update on all that. That'll be in 20 minutes from now. This shelf cloud view, though, in particular, not nearly as defined as the other ones. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for those in the Springfield area, northwest of Nashville, near Dixon, Waverly, Clarksville. This is for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. This is moving down to the south and east. They'll be going towards Nashville, Dixon, Waverly, Springfield. And again, Clarksville. Nashville not included yet in that severe thunderstorm warning, but we'll be watching that area closely for that damaging wind potential. So a lot of rain ongoing in Missouri. And again, Missouri and really anywhere in western Kentucky, definitely be weather aware tonight, because there's definitely a chance tonight that we could see some pretty significant flooding in some areas. We do have two other severe thunderstorm warnings, I should say, back over in Paris. Basically in eastern Kentucky, this is for Winchester for 60-mile-per-hour winds and some quarter-sized hail. We also have now a new one that just got issued near the Flemingsburg area and west of Moorhead. This will eventually move off to the east towards Jackson. So those areas need to be staying weather aware. Some lightning with this as well. Definitely some cloud to ground lightning with those storms as well. Damaging winds being the main concern, up to about 60 miles per hour and maybe a little bit of sporadic hail. Really right now, we're not looking at a whole lot of rotation. There is a tornado risk, but right now it's not really anything too crazy. All the storms that I'm seeing right now are mainly damaging winds moving down to the south and east. So we'll continue to keep you posted on the damaging wind threat. Again, we might see an isolated tornado, but I'd say that risk right now is going to be on the lower side of things anyways. Here's that shelf cloud right now back over in the Crockett area in Tennessee. So western half of Tennessee, this is where we're looking for this current area of that shelf cloud. It was all the way down the line. I don't know. I'm not sure if you guys can see the entire thing. Let me scroll over just a little bit here. Make it so it fits here. I didn't scroll down all the way. I do apologize. I have to fix my OBS so I can maximize the length here. There we go. Should be better. Almost there. There we go. You can see it all the way down the line there from the very right side of your screen. That's where it extends out to. But this is your shelf cloud right now. A lot of rain as well. That's your rain shaft. Really looks like an alien ship coming down or something. But this is a pretty impressive looking storm too. And again, all this is visible with the cyclone ports that are on Radar Omega. You again can get this access with Radar Omega by downloading the mobile app in the description below on Android or on your iOS device. The links are at the top of the description as well as pinned in the chat as well if you'd like to download Radar Omega. I highly recommend it. It doesn't just have this. There's obviously a radar. We're primarily right now looking at the cyclone ports. They're very impressive. There's a lot of them in this area. And you can notice all the wind as well, by the way, at the bottom of your screen. Wind's picking up there. Again, this is your rain shaft back here. I'll just have to label stuff, but that's the wind picking up. Wind. That is your rain shaft back here. And then back over here, you can't really see it anymore, but this is the leading edge of that shelf cloud. That's kind of hard to see now. Maybe at the very bottom right of your screen. That little area here, that's also the leading edge of the shelf cloud. But otherwise, the rain is definitely going to start picking up here in the next few minutes, as well as the lightning. Cloud-to-ground lightning is possible. We already saw a bunch of cloud-to-ground lightning in Martin. We literally saw lightning strike a tree earlier, and that's definitely not out of the question that we see more of that as the storm continues to push off to the east, as well as the southeast as well. All right, here we go. Thank you, SWB, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to the velocities. Major downpour here in Richmond, Kentucky. There's a lot of rain, and again, it's going to rain a lot today, not just in Kentucky, but even in Tennessee and whatnot. There's a ton of rainfall out of all of this. A lot of rainfall. And that, again, will lead to the flooding potential. All right, let me just go back here to the regular full screen. This is what we're looking at now. Just a big rain shaft, basically. We'll keep a close eye on this. Again, a lot of rain obviously, and then the winds are been picking up here for a while. We'll monitor that area. Again, that's the device. It's back over there. We have another live cam here. Wow. Another incredible view here of the shelf cloud. This is back over in the Madison County area. Another crazy view of this shelf cloud. We can go ahead and do this again and get a better view here on the left side. It's a better view on the right side, excuse me. That's a better view on the right side of this shelf cloud. But there you go. That's the next shelf cloud. Now moving through areas in Madison County in Tennessee. So another great view here of the shelf cloud. We've had a lot of really fantastic views so far of the shelf cloud. And again, this is another one. So wild stuff. How's Kansas City looking later tonight? Kansas City should primarily be, I think, dry. I don't think we're supposed to really see anything. Unless you might see an isolated storm. I'll check real quick. I haven't done a weather forecast today, like an actual one for the entire United States, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to stay pretty dry. Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to stay dry tonight. The only storm activity will be back near, like, Columbia and St. Louis. Be overnight. This is the camera from Madison County. This is where it's at. It's just south of Humboldt. So that's what we're looking at. Also, new damage reports, by the way, coming in out of the Dyer, Tennessee area. So one tree down on a Trenton Road, and then another one, several trees down on Keeley Mill Road and Dyer. So more reports coming in of damage. Obviously, that's going to be a lot of what we're going to be seeing today is trees down. In addition to the trees being down, we're probably going to see a lot of power lines down as well. We've had a lot of damage reports of that already, and obviously more are to come as well. Yeah, again, another impressive view of the shelf cloud right now, rolling through Madison County here in Tennessee. And we also might see some clouded ground lightning with this. We'll see. And a leaf just came down right over the camera. Also, this is a good view. We actually have an American flag right here, so we'll be able to measure the wind, or not really measure it, but we'll at least be able to see how windy it is. The straighter it basically goes, usually the more pronounced the winds are. A lot of scud clouds. A lot of scud clouds. Pitch black outside. Oh, look at the left side of your screen. Dust being kicked up right there. Or possibly some fog or something like that. I'm not sure what this I'm not sure exactly what we're looking at here. But the wind's definitely picking up. Bottom right of your screen, you can see the trees swaying. And then left side of your screen, looks like some dust maybe being kicked up in the wind. The leading edge of the shelf cloud, though, moving through right now. A lot of scud activity. Another $5 burnout opportunity. Hey, if somebody's watching the stream that's in this area, you never know. That American flag is whipping. There's a lot of wind right now here. Lost power in Clarksville. Wind is howling. Try not to freak out. Yeah, the storms over there are really... I mean, this entire line's pretty intense. It's, again, the damaging winds themselves, 60 to 70 miles per hour. You might be thinking, well, that's not that significant. Well, it actually is. It does a lot of damage. And especially to, like, power lines, and not just that, but also to trees. A lot of damage happens from that. We've seen it, you know, time and time again with these lines that go through areas that have a lot of trees, especially, and these power lines that are above ground. There's some areas, I'm pretty sure, that have power lines below ground now. And, yeah. And the flag is whipping right there in the middle. Trees are swaying, and we're definitely seeing wind gusts here around 30 to 40 miles per hour. I believe this is measuring wind speed. Yeah, so peak wind speed so far, at least 18 miles per hour. Probably higher than that, though. Wind gusts, that's sustained winds, by the way. That's not wind gusts. So wind gusts are probably upwards of 30, maybe 35 miles per hour. But yeah, again, another impressive view here of this shelf cloud. Not nearly as much of a shelf cloud view anymore. It's more of the scud activity here at the bottom. But wind is really whipping there. Really just pay attention to the trees, and really this tree, I would say, and then this flag. You have the best idea here of the high wind speeds. This, right now, what we're looking at is in Madison County, Tennessee. This is in western central Tennessee, where we currently are. A friendly reminder, again, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel as well. And again, if you want to see live cams like this is on the Cyclone ports with Radar Omega. You can download Radar Omega on your iOS or Android device and be able to see all these live cams whenever you want. There's dozens of them, and in addition to that, you can get radar access and velocities, radars, everything. There's so many things that you can do on this, as well as have computer models, there's satellite imagery. There's so many things you can do with Radar Omega. Again, you can download it with the top link in the description below, including live cams like this. There are dozens of these throughout Tennessee and Missouri, and we've been able to watch the shelf cloud with multiple different perspectives. This is another perspective here of the storm that's moving through, with the winds absolutely whipping there in the central southern part of your screen there on that American flag. It is really windy here with this storm approaching. Very impressive, to say the least. And if you live in this area, by the way, anywhere in Tennessee, and you've not yet seen the shelf cloud, and you haven't seen any storms yet, you might be able to catch it. You know, look outside maybe from your window at least, and you might be able to see it from a distance. Obviously, when this approaches, you do not want to be near windows because the trees can fall down. When these shelf clouds approach, they are producing damaging winds. So we don't really see the shelf cloud anymore here. Maybe near Jackson, we might have a better view. Not yet. We'll have another view of this down the road, but you might be able to kind of see it. It's in the background here, but that'll be our next chance to see the shelf cloud. We'll be back down near Jackson. And perhaps near Nashville as well. East of Nashville, there's more live cams. And then also in the middle of all of it, in the Gibson County area, it is pouring. So this is another area that we have a view of. We're going to stay on the one here. That's true, Daniel. Yeah. Omega is very awesome. A lot of features, a lot of features. And a lot of them, a lot of the features that they have, you have to pay for more in other areas. Like, there's other platforms that I currently use, and you have to pay a lot more for those. And Radar Omega has everything in one, pretty much. It's awesome. Like your one-stop shop for weather, literally. Computer models and everything. If you ever want to make your own weather forecast, it's a really good app to use it with. Trampolines are flying everywhere around Gibson County. Are they actually? If you actually have any photos or videos of trampolines, then send them in. Mike, for the iOS and Android devices to get Radar Omega, which again, you can get at the top of the description. You click the link. It's $8.99, I believe, on iOS and Android for the one-time purchase, and then there's different subscriptions that you can get more stuff with. There's 3 different plans. You can see all that information on their website, their different plans. But there's a subscription-based part of it if you want to, and then you can get with the one-time purchase. But you only need to technically get the one-time purchase. Hey, from Muggy, Nashville. Welcome on in. It is very humid, definitely. The dew point here, this is again the Cyclone Port in Madison County, Three-Way, Tennessee. That's the exact location. Temperature now is 77 degrees. Look where the temperature was about 20 minutes ago. It was 91 degrees. It's now dropped to 77. The dew point itself was up to 79 at one point. Holy cow. It's now down to 69. So, it's dropping quickly. No problem, Mike. Saw 2 come down my road. That's wild. That's why I have a trampoline meter. I have it for a reason, guys. The trampoline meter is purposeful. I have to find it here. Here's your trampoline meter. Again, flying trampolines are always possible with these sort of severe storms. We have a medium risk today. I consider it a high risk, but it's a medium risk. Could technically go to a high risk. I mean, with what we've already seen, pretty easily could go to a high risk. Is the NatoCast on Twitter accurate? It's their own forecasting platform. I would say they're not. I wouldn't say they're like accurate, but they tend to be a little bit more right than wrong. When we talk about the Storm Prediction Center, I feel like they have more reasonable forecasts. The NatoCast can sometimes go really aggressive for some areas. Like you might see like a 15% probability in a very tiny spot, and that sometimes is a little bit too specific. You don't want to like nail down one area unless it's like really accurate. And yeah, I think they're definitely. I mean, they're accurate, but this is all scud cloud activity that we're seeing, by the way, at the top right of your screen and also on the left side of your screen. So just a lot of scud clouds. These are not associated with, they're not really funnel clouds or anything like that. Never seen a flying trampoline in the wild, but I've seen a few tents go up 50 feet in the air at a music festival. I would not be surprised by that either. Maybe we need to make a tent meter now. Our next idea. On the flying trampoline subject, any chance your flying trampolines shirts will be available again? Yeah, they're currently gone. They're only available until July 6th. I'll have another release of flying trampolines merch, hopefully by August, but it might be longer than that. We just had our new collection released, by the way, if you've not already seen. It's a very small collection, but we do have a new collection on our website. Shopmaxvelocity.net. There's a link in the description. I'll put a link in the chat as well. But we have a couple new shirts. We have a I Want Snow shirt, and we have a I Want Sunshine shirt. It's kind of a little bit of a random release, but yeah, if you want snow, you know, there you go. That's a new shirt. I've already had a couple of these sell, so if you want to get one of those shirts, those will be out for a while, but a lot of the releases that we have in our store are pretty, you know, they're not going to be out for that long, so basically pick it up when you can. I'll put the link in the chat if you're interested. Put a couple of them. But yeah, we have a bunch of other stuff other than that. Those are also available in the mugs as well. It's a shirt and a mug. You can get both. Or just one. Do whatever. Just want to throw that out there. But the flying trampoline stuff probably won't be back until August, but we'll see. I'll try to get it out earlier if I can. No problem, Bill. Friendly reminder, if you have any photos or videos, again, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. And also, you can, if you don't have Twitter, you can message me on Discord or go to my Facebook page. All those links are in the description below. Winds are picking up here in the three-way area of Tennessee. And then further down to the south, this is our next view of the shelf cloud in, again, southern Madison County. The shelf cloud's right here in the background, so I'll have a view of that as this approaches as well. The wind seems stagnant unless this live cam is just blurry. Or has it moved, I mean. No, the live cam's moving. Alright. I'll say, that's a really stagnant wind. How's it going, Miss K? Welcome back. Thanks, Jenny. Appreciate it. Yes, the flying trampolines. They're amazing. It's actually a real thing, though. Flying trampolines, that meter we made 4 months ago, and it's actually a real thing. A real issue. Here's the latest, by the way, over near Clarksville, Springfield, and Dixon. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour is possible here. The damaging wind threat has definitely increased a bit with this line, really on that leading edge. So again, damaging winds definitely possible here on the leading edge of this area of storms east of Clarksville. And then back down here near the Milan area and Medina, near the Madison County area, in parts of western Tennessee, we are also watching for that threat of damaging winds up to about 60 to 65 miles per hour. Not out of the question, again, an isolated tornado as well on the front edge of this. We'll monitor that closely. Yeah, threat of a tornado, though, will diminish a bit more over the next 2 hours. It's going to gradually decline. You know, we've already kind of peaked, in my opinion, of that tornado risk, but we could still see another one down the road. Rain is coming here for Madison County. Yeah, the next thing we'll have to make is a flying tent meter. Problem is, I've never had a flying tent sent to me. I've only had flying trampolines. It's something that's kind of just happened. Weird. I'm not really expecting a tornado risk with the storms that we're seeing. I mean, it's like a low threat, but I'm not expecting this tornado risk to increase. I think it's just going to gradually decrease from here. It's been gradually decreasing for the last, like, couple hours. It really peaked back when we had the QLCS back up in western Kentucky. But once this drops further down to the south, it's going to still, the tornado risk is really going to go down. Yeah, the only area that I could imagine a tornado risk increasing at all, or not even increasing, but just saying, like, kind of stagnant for a little bit, would be here. Where these storms are moving a bit more due east. They have a bit better of an inflow, and then the wind going away. I mean, we have a little bit of rotation back, like, on the very southern part here of Kentucky, southern Kentucky border, as well as the Tennessee border near Darnell. But the rotation, it's not much. It would be enough, though, to produce maybe a brief tornado. We have a new wind gust that has been confirmed out of Big Sandy of 63 miles per hour. That's the latest there. And here's your line of storms right now. Tons of lightning. We've seen that already. If you've been tuning in for a while here, there's been a ton of lightning with these storms that are all associated with this line of storms. So Obviously, a concern today will be the amount of lightning. We've seen lightning already strike a tree earlier in this live stream. Not out of the question that we see more of that potential as these storms move down to the south and east. And here's a little bit of a loop as well. I'll put a loop on. That's collapsing down to the south and east. Ghost, I'll have a video. I'm hoping, honestly, I can get a video in today. I want to get a video out around 4 or 5 o'clock, so my hope is after this live stream, I can get a video out, because I want to make a video forecast about Wednesday and Thursday. I'll try to get that out. I'm going to try to. It's going to depend on how long this live stream is, though. But, I mean, after this moves through Nashville, that's probably when we'll end our live stream, and then I'll be able to go ahead and make that video, because I need to get that video out for tomorrow and Thursday. Again, I might have another live stream tomorrow, and I could even have one later tonight. There's a chance I go live again later tonight for maybe an hour or so. If there's that brief tornado risk back over in western Kentucky and southern Louisiana, or in Illinois, excuse me, again, there's a chance I go live for a brief hour later. But we're definitely going to be live here at least for the next probably 45 minutes to an hour. And then I'm going to hopefully try to get that video out. When using Radar Omega, how do you find the rotation in storms? Well, first step is you have to use the velocities, the high-res velocities radar, and then you have to see if green and red are kind of like, you know, tightening up and, you know, becoming a bit stronger. There's no really good examples because really there's not a whole lot of rotation anywhere here. But let's just say this was like a hook echo or something like that with a supercell. This would be what we're looking at. The red going away from the radar and green going toward the radar. That would be your rotation. But in this case, there's no rotation. It's just the leading edge of the storm. So that's wind gusts. That's not rotation. But that'd be an example. That's what you'd be looking for. You can find tutorial videos online pretty easily. There's a ton of them for that. I think I actually have a tutorial video on finding, or how to find a tornado on radar. If you want to check that out. It's under the playlist tab. Boys on the clock. I work a lot. I do this a ton. I enjoy it. It's not like forceful work. Probably say I work a good 50 to 60 hours a week right now. Just doing weather. We have multiple cyclone port views that we're still watching. This is one of them. And we'll be watching the shelf cloud approach. It's another one out of southern Madison County. Yeah, we have multiple different cyclone ports. This is another really good view. That's the shelf cloud. Again, multiple layers. You got your cake layers, basically. Like a layer of cake. Multiple layers to the shelf cloud, moving off again to the south here, over in the Madison County area. It's a very impressive view, though. It's over in Madison County. Moving down to the south. By the way, if you have any questions, again, feel free to leave those in the chat. And if you're just tuning in, make sure to hit the like button down below, and make sure you're subscribed to our channel. And we'll keep you posted with the latest details and all the severe weather that is happening. We do live streams all the time, so make sure you also click the bell icon down below as well so you're notified when we go live. And a further reminder, this live stream is brought to you by Radar Omega. Let's get some hearts in the chat, by the way, for Radar Omega. I do appreciate them sponsoring yet again another one of our live streams, but you can download Radar Omega. That's what we're using right now. That's what we've been using the entire live stream to see all the live cams and as well as the various radar feeds that we've been able to see here across Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, as well as Illinois. Make sure to download the app if you would like, down at the top of the description below. It's also a link pinned in the chat. You can download it on iOS or Android. Highly recommend it. Again, I've been using it literally off stream too. It's really fun to use. It's really good for weather. It's very affordable too. We're currently in Western Tennessee. This is where this live cam is for the shelf cloud. And here's your shelf cloud right here. We're in Western Tennessee. Has the Storm Prediction Center updated yet? They should be in the next couple minutes. If not, they might have already done. Not yet, but they should be in about... Really, they should do it any time. It sometimes changes. They typically will put something out. I'm guessing there will be something in about 5 minutes or so, if not sooner. That's awesome, Alonzo. Awesome. trying to see something on Twitter real quick. By the way, DFW just hit 107 degrees, excuse me, not 170. 170 degrees for Dallas-Fort Worth in North Texas. Highest temperature so far this year. The new Storm Prediction Center outlook is out. We're going to talk about it, but this is the latest outlook. I'm not going to be able to show it on Radar Omega yet, but this is the latest outlook. Enhanced risk still for this area in Tennessee, Southern Kentucky for the next few hours. That's for damaging winds. A few areas to watch for in the northern and central plains. Damaging winds, large hail possible there. And then in the northeast, another region for severe weather. No big changes, though, to the area that we've been covering. It's pretty straightforward here. But yeah, we'll talk about more detail here in a minute. I'm not sure if the tornado probabilities have changed or anything. We'll let you know here in a second. There's a chance the tornado risk increased, but probably not. It would be for tonight if it were to have increased. It's going to be more trampolines to watch for. Trampolines-wise, probably. I mean, we still have high winds out there. Depending on how many people own trampolines here in Tennessee. 20% is 2. I'm guessing it probably still is, but I haven't seen the update yet on here. Yeah, we have multiple layers to the shelf cloud. It's, again, like a layer of cake. It's the best way to relate it to. Literally a layer of cake here across Tennessee. Again, where we currently are, I need to figure out the location. This is in Jackson, Tennessee. So, we're in Jackson, Tennessee. Outdoor temperature starting to decrease. 90 degrees to 89. It'll continue to decrease over the next 20 minutes as this shelf cloud pushes through with the high wind gusts. Cooler air is coming because of that rain, cool air. Hey, thank you, Philip, for becoming a 9-month moderate velocity member. Hope you're doing well in Central North Carolina. Appreciate you being a moderate velocity member for 9 months. Thank you. My old trampoline flew away. Next day, I found it on a restaurant's roof. That is wild. I've seen some really crazy photos of a trampoline being in a place where it shouldn't be. I've seen a lot of them, especially in North Texas, when the great trampoline outbreak of 2023 happened back in March 4th, I believe it was, this year. Are we done in Clarksville? Clarksville should be done here soon. Yeah, it's mostly just rain now. Wind damage report out of Clarksville. Trees down on Clarksville, including at 229 at Trey Court, 5700 without power right now. So that's the latest report there. Out of that area. It's the other view of the shelf cloud. I'm going to go back to the other one. It's better. This is our better view of the shelf cloud. How's it going, Cynthia? Welcome back. What's the severe weather threat for Thursday? Thursday's threat of severe weather is primarily in the Ohio Valley. But again, I'll talk about more in the video forecast I'll have in probably a couple hours. So overall, the severe weather threats have not changed for today. They're pretty much the same as before. There's really no changes. But we have, basically, for those in the Tennessee, Kentucky area, there is still a 2% probability for a tornado. That also includes later today, by the way. So there's still a chance for an isolated tornado going into the late afternoon and evening back over in southwest Kentucky and east or southeastern parts of Tennessee. Or not Tennessee, sorry. In Missouri. Southeast Missouri. Damaging wind threat remains the same. No significant damaging wind threat anymore. And then the large hail threat is primarily across eastern Missouri and very southern parts of Illinois. And that's going to be for that second area of storms that should be developing here over the next couple hours. That's our next threat for large to very large hail. Is actually possible out of that. Not know you were live. I've been live for 3 hours now. Oh, it's been a long live stream so far. Hatched area is gone. Yes, the hatched risk for at least wind is gone. Alright. The Great Trampoline Outbreak of 2023. That's what I literally called it. The Great Trampoline Outbreak. 2023. Again, that happened back over in DFW, North Texas. All right, we're starting to lose the view of the shelf cloud there. This is a little bit better of a view of it, though. Again, this is in parts of Madison County near Jackson, Tennessee. Your shelf cloud right here, outflow boundary and whatnot. Moving out here down to the south. And those are our last live camps for the most part. We have one more in Parsons, so I'll have another view of it. This is a much better view as well in Parsons. Very distant right now, but that's our shelf cloud in the background. We'll be watching it here as well as it approaches out of the north. Again, here's your line of storms right now, though. It's all approaching areas like Nashville. Nashville will be impacted by this line of storms here pretty soon. Producing damage winds up to 70 miles per hour near the Clarksville and Springfield area. This is moving down to the south and east toward Nashville. Here's your current timing. We're going to go and time this out for you. But for Nashville in particular, you'll be seeing this area of storms here pretty soon. 50 miles per hour. Here we go. Nashville currently expected to be impacted by this line at about half an hour. So if you're in Nashville, definitely make sure that you are staying weather aware. Damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour will be possible. Severe thunderstorm watch has also now expanded into parts of southern Tennessee. There's also more live cams down here as well. Back down here in particular. So we'll have live cams down there as well. And then here's your current velocities. Again, we're not really looking at any rotation anywhere. Rotation's been pretty broad for the most part. With any storms, it's mostly just damaging winds right now. So we'll keep a close eye on the storms. Again, we'll be watching these storms probably about through Nashville. And then we'll wrap things up. And then if we have to, we'll go live again later. But really, in most of these storms will be just producing damaging winds. I just think it's so cool how we have all these live cams, again, on Radar Omega with the shelf cloud. Let's go back to the one over here. It's really cool to see all the different views of the shelf cloud. I mean, they're not like too different from each other, but you know, some people have never really experienced a shelf cloud before, and it cools down the air quite substantially. Usually, like the temperature will drop as high as 10 to 20 degrees in some instances just from a storm. Impressive. The camera is now starting to shake. That means that there are downburst winds now coming from this outflow boundary. Storms look like they're weakening. They're going to be on a weakening trend. They haven't really weakened a whole lot, though. To be fair, I mean, they've really not weakened at all. I mean, aside from the tornado risk, they've been pretty organized. They've actually been more intense than I expected to this point. I thought they would weaken a bit quicker, but they've still maintained their intensity. They'll weaken more as they get closer to Alabama and Georgia, where pressure is a bit higher and there's not nearly as much instability to work with, and the environment overall just becomes less favorable. But this line has actually been lasting much longer than I expected. So there's not a tornado warning now. There's a tornado warning counter down there. So there's no tornado warning. There's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, though, that's for sure. There's actually one back over in Irvine now, going towards Jackson in Kentucky for 60-mile-per-hour winds. These storms are still ongoing. We got a couple strong storms as well back over in parts of central Kentucky as well. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning that does include Centralville as well as Columbia and Mount Pleasant. This is southwest of Nashville. This is going to be for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. That is all moving down to the south-southeast. We'll be monitoring that closely as that moves down to the south-southeast. Again, that's going to be associated with that shelf cloud that we're seeing well out in front of this line. That's producing damaging winds as well. And here's what it looks like right now in Jackson. The shelf cloud just went through here, and we're still seeing some high winds on that outflow boundary. Lightning as well in the background. I just saw a little flash of lightning. What's the humidity? Right here, it is 55% humidity. Dew point's about 70. Again, the dew point's going to drop with this. It was at 77, so the dew point's dropping pretty quickly. But overall, the temperature also is dropping right now. It went from about 90 to 88. It's going to drop probably down to about 70 to 75 by the time the storm actually moves through. A good example of that is like back up near Martin. This area was like 90 degrees before this line moved through. And post moving through, it's now down to 70 degrees. It's actually gradually inclining. So the temperature overall has been decreasing as this line moves through with those cool, or that rain cool air that's falling, and then the strong winds aloft and as well as down near the surface are helping to basically aid that temperature drop. So that's what we're seeing. Another impressive view of the shelf cloud here. This is in Parsons, Tennessee. Do you think there's a potential for a tornado warning? I mean, we had a few earlier, but I don't think we'll see many more. We might see one more, but I think the tornado risk overall is low here for the next few hours. It might increase again this evening for those back over in western Kentucky. Yes, there is a threat for the potential for catastrophic flash flooding exists tonight. Again, I might go live again tonight, but I'm not going to stay live from now all the way until 2 a.m. I haven't eaten in hours. I'm actually hungry, so I have to eat at the bare minimum. And if it allows, I might go live again tonight, but we'll see. Yeah, current risk for flash flooding is moderate. I wouldn't be surprised with a high risk of flash flooding, to be honest, but there's a moderate risk for flash flooding. Let me just go on Radar Omega and show you. So this is the outlook for today for flash flooding. It's going to be significant overnight. It's primarily in parts of southern Illinois, eastern Missouri, or southeast Missouri near the Cape Girardeau area, and then back west of Bowling Green near Clarksville, Nashville, all in moderate risks of flash flooding. Would not be surprised if it got close to a high risk here of excessive rainfall. That's what it means. It's not flash flooding, but excessive rainfall outlook. That's what we're looking at here. So moderate risk there, slight risk outside of that. Definitely concerning today. Make sure that you are staying very weather aware of the flash flooding threat. It's going to ramp up tonight, though. It's really not begun yet. It's going to get much worse later when we have rain really falling. We could see rainfall totals as high as 10 inches in isolated locations. So definitely concerning, to say the least. Still watching for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. That'll be approaching Nashville here pretty soon. So we'll be monitoring that as well. Seeing 16-inch rain totals. I wouldn't rule out it gets up to a foot, but I don't think 16 inches is that realistic. It's possible, but it's a much lower chance. Realistically, I would say up to 12 inches is isolated, but again, we could see a little bit higher than that. Definitely not out of the question. Just trying to put like a realistic range. Alright, let's go back over to this live cam here in Madison. Again, the camera's shaking a lot here. We're actually going to go to the other one. I'm going to go back to the one in Parsons. We'll stay on the Parsons one for now. This is the best view of the shelf cloud that we'll have here, probably for the remainder of the stream at least. This is not the best view. It'll get better in about 5 minutes, but this is our next view of the shelf cloud that is rolling into areas like Parsons, Tennessee. Welcome back, Ashton. What locations will see the worst flooding? Anywhere in that red shaded area I just showed you, that's the area. So basically southern Illinois, western Kentucky, near Nashville and northern Tennessee, and then southeast Missouri. Now in particular, where will the heaviest rainfall be? It'll probably be near the Paducah area in Kentucky. It's probably gonna be the worst area, and maybe just southeast Paducah as well. It's gonna be really in that little thin area there. That's the best chance for really significant flash flooding. This is just a, let me pull it up here on here, but this is the rainfall totals that are being estimated tonight. It's very significant. You can see here, like the HRR model, for example, is predicting upwards of 10 inches of rain just southeast of Paducah. So this will be the stretch that we'll have to watch for very closely. For very significant rainfall, that's going to be near Clarksville as well, northwest of Nashville. So that's very concerning, to say the least. That rainfall can definitely be potentially catastrophic. So we definitely want to monitor that very closely. If you're in those areas, definitely make sure you're staying very weather aware of that threat tonight. How's it going, Guy? Welcome back. There's a baseball game at 6:30, and you're wondering about St. Louis. St. Louis probably will not see much, if at anything, until probably after about 10 o'clock tonight. That'll be the next chance for at least some storm activity there. John, there was a hatched area for damaging winds. There no longer is, though, anymore. So, that was removed from the latest outlook. It was mainly for this afternoon, like the early afternoon. We haven't even seen damaging winds exceed 75 miles per hour yet to begin with, so But really the peak of the damaging winds is back about half an hour ago. All the wind so far has been between 50 to 70 miles per hour. Yes, Artie, there will be more storms tonight. Yep, in southeast Missouri. And if you're just tuning in, we are currently looking at a live cam on the Cyclone Port. This is in Parsons, Tennessee. This is from the Cyclone Port feature on Radar Omega. Again, you can download Radar Omega and see live cams like this. There are dozens in Tennessee and Missouri. You can download it with the top link in the description. Click that link. It brings you to the iOS or Android download for Radar Omega. And you can download it there. There's also a lot of other features, obviously, like the live radar and all that sort of stuff. Velocities, correlation coefficient, everything that you need for a weather radar is included with Radar Omega. You can go ahead and check that out. Again, the top link in the description below. It's also pinned in the chat as well. But we are currently looking at Decatur County with this live cam. Very impressive outflow boundary. And also, obviously, a very impressive shelf cloud that we're looking at here. Moving to the south and east, not too far from the Nashville area. The tornado threat is very low at this point. It is definitely decreased. It will remain very low as well. Alright, so moving over here. And if you have any photos or videos, feel free to tweet me on Twitter, by the way, at MaxVelocityWX. Here's a shelf cloud from... Let me open this here. This is a shelf cloud from Madison County. Very impressive shelf cloud. Look at that. Wow. That's basically what we're looking at right here. Much darker, obviously, there in Madison County, but that is essentially what we're looking at here over in Parsons, Tennessee. Pretty large shelf cloud here. Starting to storm in Jackson, Tennessee. Yeah, Jackson, Tennessee is the other area that we just were looking at a little while ago, but Jackson, Tennessee right now, definitely getting some storm activity, really on the very western edge of it, so it's not nearly as bad. All right, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour for Nashville, Tennessee, and Bowling Green. So, a fairly large area here. That's going to include Bowling Green, Portland, Franklin, Scottsville, all these areas included for damaging winds between 60 to 70 miles per hour. It also includes that threat for Nashville, Tennessee. And as this continues to move down to the south and east, we'll be watching for mainly damaging winds again up to about 70 miles per hour. So as these storms do approach, friendly reminder to stay away from windows because trees will likely fall. The shelf cloud, again, can produce damaging winds, and it will likely produce damaging winds well out in front of the actual rain and the storm itself. So you want to make sure that you're staying away from windows as these storms approach, and preferably on the lowest floor possible. As these do approach areas like Nashville and as well as near Hendersonville and the Portland areas. A lot of lightning as well. Obviously, you'll notice that here. There's a ton of lightning up and down this line of storms. So, seeing a lot of cloud to ground lightning, you're going to want to make sure you're staying indoors. Here's the live cam view out of... Actually, we have another one, I think, down here to the south. Wow, look at this. Holy cow. We're going to go ahead and shift this over just a little bit. That's an impressive shelf cloud view here, too. Again, it looks like the layers of cake from the top to the middle. Pretty impressive. Yeah, the new Storm Prediction Center update came out. No big changes at this point. For at least the Ohio Valley that we're looking at. Any chance of storm formation in Alabama later tonight? Northern Alabama definitely in the chance for severe weather. That'll be from the area of storms that's right now moving through Tennessee. And then closer to approximately 6 to 8 o'clock is probably your better chance if you're in Northern Alabama. That line will be weakening, though, so it will not be as intense. Yeah, this is a very impressive view. Again, the Cyclone Port on Radar Omega. Very impressive view here of the shelf cloud. Again, multiple layers. We'll be able to see, really, this is probably the best view we'll get of the shelf cloud. It'll not be nearly as good in a few minutes as this continues to move toward the actual live cam, but it's very impressive. It's huge. It's pretty much like a tidal wave. I've kind of made that reference a few times, but it looks like a tidal wave type shelf cloud. Pretty cool. Storms are just starting to hit in Russellville, Kentucky. Thank you for the report. Friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in, make sure to like the stream. It does help get this out to more people. Also, make sure to subscribe down below. We are 17 subscribers away from 58,400. What way is this going after Jackson, Tennessee? This is all going east and southeast. So, main areas right now being impacted. I'll go ahead and get off this for a second. But main areas being impacted out in front of this would include areas. Let me just zoom out a little bit. But this is basically the impact area from here on out. Will be this region, but a lot of this will collapse down to the south and east. This activity should weaken more as it moves off to the east, but definitely more of a significant severe weather threat for those back near like Nashville and whatnot over the next, at least the short term, for damaging winds. Current projection. Yeah, line of storms quickly approaching Nashville. Again, damaging winds upwards of 70 miles per hour are possible. Definitely make sure you are staying away from windows if you are near Nashville. And Hendersonville, Greenbrier, Cross Plains, or Linda, all those areas, definitely make sure you're staying away from windows. Again, not a whole lot of rotation with this. Tornado risk should stay very low at this point, if not near zero, but not out of the question that we could see maybe an isolated brief tornado down the road. Is there lightning? There is plenty of lightning. The amount of lightning that we're seeing is probably upwards of 150 lightning strikes per minute, at least, across this line of storms. It's a lot. We have a new wind gust confirmed of 63 miles per hour in Big Sandy. I believe I've already mentioned that. I might have already mentioned that, but that's another wind gust. A couple new damage reports coming in, primarily southwest of Huntington. Middle Fork in Tennessee and Carroll County. There's power lines down from winds causing a fire. That's one out of there near the southeast of Milan. Then in Huntington and Carroll County, again, power lines down there as well. So more reports coming out of those areas. Here's that shelf cloud right now approaching here over in Parsons area of Tennessee. All right. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to leave those in the chat. Again, we are currently looking at Parsons, Tennessee. Shelf clouds approaching. Rain shaft in the background. This is the leading edge, again, of the storm itself. So that's moving in toward the... it's going from northwest to southeast, so this is going towards Parsons again. We should be able to see some pretty high wind gusts at the bottom of your screen. The trees should start swaying here in approximately a minute, maybe 2 minutes. This is the one thing, I mentioned this multiple times, but the shelf cloud itself is producing damaging winds. So, you know, the storm might not be anywhere nearby yet. You might not hear a whole lot of thunder yet, but you're going to want to make sure you stay away from windows if you're in like Nashville, for example, because this shelf cloud will produce that threat for damaging winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So definitely a concern there. Storms themselves right now are all moving around 50 to 55 miles per hour. Most of them are moving southeast, but there are some just moving east as well. Depends on where you are. If you're further to the north, they're moving more easterly. And then the ones back down in Tennessee, for the most part, are moving southeast. Yes, this is a pretty massive storm. Where in Clarksville looks rough. Yeah, Clarksville definitely got hammered with winds. Some really high winds there. Yeah, we are currently looking at the cyclone port on Radar Omega. Again, you can download Radar Omega for yourself with the top link in the description. That's what we're using to look at all these cool live cam features. But again, this is a storm that is definitely having a lot of wind. You'll notice at the bottom of your screen, look at the trees swaying now. Winds are really picking up quick. The camera is now shaking. So that's obviously a sign of severe weather, or at least some strong storms. So this is a severe storm that's approaching Parsons with damaging winds up to about 60 to 70 miles per hour. Trees are whipping down there at the bottom of your screen. And in addition to that, a lot of rain in the background. We could even see some lightning come down as well. High to ground lightning. Not out of the question. as this storm approaches out of the northwest and moves down to the southeast. This storm in particular is moving southeast. So I think I just saw some lightning back left. I could be wrong. No. You think the storm could potentially get tornadoes? Probably not. Again, I mentioned this a few times as well. I mean, the overall setup with this MCS that we're seeing, this is what it looks like right now, but it's not nearly as organized. It's bowing out a lot, and when we see these big bows, like these very large bows, they usually don't produce much of a tornado risk, one. And then two, the shear is going to be much lesser as we go down to the south and east. So overall, in my opinion, I do think the tornado risk is going to continue to decrease. It's not out of the question we could see an isolated tornado, but I just don't think there'll be much in terms of damaging winds. Am I going to stream tonight for St. Louis? I might. Again, I don't know 100% yet. But make sure, again, if you want to be notified if I go live, make sure you click the bell icon down below and click all notifications so you do get notified if I do indeed go live. I don't know if I will yet. I really don't. I have to try to get a video out, though, here pretty soon. So I'm going to have to make a video after this live stream. The max wind speed is about 70 miles per hour for any of these storms. Welcome back, Crazy Dog. So the live cam back in Parsons. I'll stay on this for a second. We're only 8 subscribers away from 58,400. If you've not already, make sure to subscribe down below. Again, click the bell icon so you are notified when we do go live, and as well as any new video forecasts. I should have a video again out about 5:30. Really cool feature that I've not really looked at yet, but this is the 3D radar back over near Nashville. Here's Nashville right here. I'm assuming at least a few of you guys are currently watching from Nashville, but this is your 3D view of the storm near Nashville. Really impressive. But this is the storm that's basically coming here. You can see how high the cloud tops basically go with the reflectivity values. Now, this is approaching Nashville right now. This is looking from the southeast, looking northwest. So this is approaching out of your west, northwest, and northwest. Another really cool feature with Radar Omega. And notice behind it, by the way, all the rain as well behind it. So there's going to be a bunch of rain behind this as well. There could even be more lightning behind it. So, you know, if you have any outdoor activities for the remainder of the day, it might be a bit of a washout here. How's it going, Z? Dust storm yesterday. Wow. I don't know where the dust storm was. This be classified as a mini derecho? I mean, it's classified as a mesoscale convective system, which, to be honest with you, is kind of like a mini derecho in a way. Again, I might go live later. I don't know. Just click the bell icon down below, so you do end up getting notified if and when I go live, but I don't know if I will. Here's the non-3D view of the storm. So again, this is all approaching out of the west-northwest. Nashville, again, going to be impacted here within the next 10 minutes. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour are possible. The highest damaging winds currently being estimated back up near Bakers, but even then, we're probably going to see those high winds near Nashville as well. And here's the live view out of Parsons in Tennessee. Again, this is the area that we have a ton of rain falling right now. Ton of rain. Some lightning as well. Cloud to ground lightning is possible, but this is the area that we just had the shelf cloud come through not too long ago. And this is now approaching. Threat of damaging winds is really the main concern. Maybe a little bit of sporadic hail as well. Saw some lightning there as well. Lightning will definitely start to intensify a bit more here as well in the next couple hours. Not a couple hours, sorry. Over the next few minutes. A couple hours, that'll be a long time. I mean, there could actually be lightning here in Parsons for the next few hours as well. There's a lot of rain behind this, and with the fact that these cloud tops are just so high, if we go back over to the satellite imagery, there's a ton of lightning. And we can go to the infrared imagery. Infrared imagery is really the best gauge of this. But you'll notice all that blue here, those are your really cold cloud tops aloft. That helps positive and negative charges to be able to produce more of that lightning. And we have tons of lightning up and down this line. So, and behind it, there's still a lot of blue there. And we very well could see some sporadic lightning as well out of that activity. So it's definitely going to be pretty active for sure as this all moves down to the south and east. But that's the current infrared imagery. We also have more storms starting to pop up in northeast Arkansas and southeast Missouri. Those could also start to produce a large hail threat. Here's a little bit of a little time lapse as this line of storms is approaching Nashville. Leaves are falling. Yeah, leaves are definitely going to be falling. How high these winds are, it's not hard for a leaf to just come off a tree. If you're in Nashville, stay away from windows as this line of storms does approach. Derecho is a elongated line of storms, usually 250 miles or longer, and it's typically producing a lot of damaging winds across a pretty large area. So it's usually numerous to widespread damaging winds. We covered a derecho, I believe not this month, but like last month. There's one in the Midwest. I can't really remember anymore, but time flies. But there was a Midwest derecho recently, and it produced some really significant damaging winds. So yeah, that's really the most recent derecho that we've had. Derechos seem to be becoming more and more common nowadays. Yeah, this is the current brief activity with the Radar Omega app. Again, your timestamp for the timing, by the way, what we're looking at right now is down here. The timestamp at the top left of your screen is what the actual time is right now. But this is the simulated time here on the past radar here over the last about 15 minutes. Very quick moving line of storms. Again, moving east and southeast at about 55 miles per hour. So it's very quick moving, producing that damaging wind threat. And this is another view as well back down. Further to the south, this is going to be over in the Hohenwald area in Tennessee. So that'll be the next area in the track of that outflow boundary, as well as the shelf cloud. We should be able to get a pretty good view of that shelf cloud as well as an extremely blurry view of whatever they're trying to look at. I'm not sure if that's going to focus back in. We'll see. We'll have another view of that as well back west of Clifton. If you're in Nashville, stay away from windows as this line of storms does go through. Damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour are possible. Yeah, St. Louis is mainly going to be some downburst damaging winds and maybe some hail. Yeah, it shouldn't be anything too significant, but there is a chance for some severe weather. It's going to be a lower chance. It's more for a flooding risk, though, overnight. Flooding threat is definitely much more concerning. I was in the Illinois derecho. The derecho in Illinois really hammered, like, farms and stuff. There was entire cornfields that were flattened. It was really bad. Thursday for Ohio is a 2 out of 5 risk. Yeah, again, I'm going to try to make a video in... I mean, honestly, this live stream, after this pass through Nashville, I'm probably going to end it after that, which will be probably... I don't know how many minutes it will be from now, but... I'm going to try to make a video right after this live stream, and again, I might go live again tonight. We'll see. Just click the bell icon down below. You're notified when I go live. If I do go live, it'd probably be like an hour or so. It'd just be going over what's happening near like St. Louis, for example, and then back through Western Kentucky. It's most likely just going to be mostly just like a lot of rainfall. And I should actually, in today's video, I'm probably going to have a little segment at the beginning talking about what's coming up tonight. That way you can get a better idea of what's, to happen, what's expected. With the flooding threat. Then I'll talk more about tomorrow's risk and then Thursday's risk. Both days, by the way, very different from each other. We have a risk of severe weather in parts of the Midwest, and then we have parts of the Ohio Valley and Central Plains in severe weather. So yeah, derechos, MCSs, they can all have QLCS tornadoes. We already had, I mean, this MCS did have a brief QLCS back up near Paducah, Kentucky, a couple hours ago. About 2.5 hours ago is when we had that, and now it's mostly just damaging winds, but we did have that earlier, so there has been, obviously, that as a threat earlier, in terms of a couple of little brief spin-ups. We might have had a tornado up there, but there's been no reports of that so far. There were 3 or 4 tornado warnings so earlier, and then after that, it was mostly just damage. It's all been damaging winds since. No problem, Shelly. Appreciate you tuning in. Tulsa derecho is crazy. Yeah, that one was also crazy. I went live for like an hour for that. I didn't really go live early for that. I was busy that day, and that live stream in particular, I got on like late. It was, I can't remember what time it was. It was like, I think it was midnight. I went live for like an hour, just kind of talking about that event. It was wild as it happened. I'm pretty sure Andy Hill was live for that, and so I got on when he was live. I'm pretty sure he was live through the entire thing, but yeah, I went live for like an hour on that one. It was a wild event, though. I'll tell you that. That was one of the other crazy ones that we've had recently. Been a couple of crazy events. I don't know if that was that a derecho though? Is that Tulsa one a derecho? Can't remember anymore. I feel like we've had so many different. I mean, not like a ton of derechos recently, but we've had multiple. The most recent, obviously, was the Midwest one. It was only a few weeks ago. Wins are starting in Beaver Dam, Kentucky. Thank you, Sherry, for the report. A friendly reminder, if you're just tuning in for the first time, make sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. And additionally, again, this live stream is being brought to you by Radar Omega. I really do appreciate them sponsoring today's live stream. If you want to download Radar Omega, you can download it with a top link in the description. It's on iOS and Android. It also supports my page, by the way. So if you want to support my page and get a Radar Omega, you can go ahead and check that out. Top link in the description below. Yeah, that's what we're using right now for all of what we've been using. The live cams that we have, the different reports, the wind reports as well, really useful. In addition to that, all the warnings, you can customize all this as well. I've customized this a ton already with the different warnings and whatnot, and the colors and the color tables that are used on the different reflectivities, and there's velocity radar, there's everything. And basically everything that a meteorologist would need is included in this platform. You can check it out again, the top link in the description. And yeah, again, iOS, Android, it's also available on Windows. It does support my page, so appreciate if you check it out. And all the live cam views that we've had as well, which we've had a ton of different ones. Those are also on Radar Omega. Here's that better view, by the way. This one was blurry before, but this is the other Cyclone Port live cam on Radar Omega out of Saltillo area in Tennessee. The rain's starting to pick up over in the Decatur County area. You'll see it is absolutely raining here. We were able to see very far back before. I think we were able to see like I don't remember, like maybe a mountain or a hill or something like that in the background before. Now it's just a bunch of rain. It's completely covered over there now. So what's to be kind of expected with what we're seeing here in Tennessee. Northern Alabama will have some damaging wind potential in about an hour or so. This line will be moving down that direction. Now, the line of storms is weakening a little bit now. It's starting to weaken just a little bit. And as that happens, the damaging wind threat should go down a bit, but it will be enough to impact Alabama. And parts of northern Alabama were just issued into a severe thunderstorm watch. That does include Chattanooga, Tennessee, and as well as parts of northern Alabama for go down a little bit. But for Florence, for example, Guntersville, Russellville, all these areas now included in that severe thunderstorm watch. It's mainly for northern Alabama. Birmingham is not included. That's going to be for damaging winds up to about 65 miles per hour. Welcome back, Geography. The highest wind gusts that we've had so far today, I believe, was 70 miles per hour. So nothing's exceeded that, which is good news. A lot of it has been significant storms, obviously, but the winds have not gotten too extreme. They've not gone past 70, which is good news. But obviously, we've been looking at a pretty numerous area here of damaging winds around 60 to 70 miles per hour for quite some time. $71 miles per hour, is that the highest? I know I saw a 70 mile per hour. I'm not sure if there's been higher than that. Hopkinsville was a 70 mile per hour. I believe may have been estimated, but it could have been also confirmed. It was from a trained spotter, so the chance that it was not observed, just estimated, but either way. Here's the velocities. Again, high winds right now going into Nashville. If not, they're already over Nashville. If you're in Nashville, again, stay away from windows as this line approaches, or really actually goes through. It's not really approaching anymore. It's pretty much going through you. Just definitely make sure you stay away from windows on the lowest floor possible, as the storm does move down to the east-southeast. Davis, personally, yeah, I mean, if there's a severe storm producing anything greater or any, I mean, honestly, any storm that's producing damaging winds above 60 miles per hour, you definitely should, because trees could fall down on your house. If you're on like the top floor, for example, or you're not in your shelter, it's definitely a better idea to get to a lower floor, because a tree could fall down. We've had a couple of reports of that already, of a tree falling onto a house. So it's definitely a good idea that you do so. Always a good idea. Large hail as well. I mean, if you're looking at like a large hailstorm that's producing quarter, $half sized hail, and there's there's also damaging winds. We could see some blowing hail, and that also could be concerning. Could go into windows and stuff. So nothing too crazy on that live cam though. All right. That new severe thunderstorm watch, by the way, hasn't shown up on here yet. There's a severe thunderstorm watch for those in Alabama. It's extended into this region here. It should appear here pretty soon. It does also include Chattanooga. This is going to be for damaging winds up to about 70 miles per hour with this line of storms as it moves down to the south and east. Again, overall, the line of storms is weakening, and as it moves down to the south and east, it should continue to weaken over the next little while. So that really should be, you know, the trend for the rest of today. And then once we go into tonight, we'll be watching for more rounds of storms. The next one is going to be really developing over the next couple hours in southeast Missouri. And then we'll have another round of storms later tonight that'll be impacting areas from St. Louis back into areas like Tennessee with a significant flooding threat. I'll talk about more on that in a video forecast. There's a chance that I do a video forecast today only for that. And then I do, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But we'll have to talk about that in my video forecast, because there's a pretty significant flooding threat tonight there. And yeah, we'll break that down into night's forecast. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it. I'm live a lot. But yeah, again, the storms are right now moving through Nashville, Henderson. They'll be all moving out to the south and east over the next few hours. They should continue on a weakening trend, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour possible. But overall, that's the main concern for the rest of today, with this line of storms and then more severe weather again possible behind it, with mainly damaging winds being the threat, but maybe a little bit of large hail and perhaps a tornado as well being possible. So those are the main concerns for the rest of today. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here. I'm extremely exhausted. I woke up super early this morning and I had to do blood work today. I am literally exhausted. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. I'll have a forecast out though in like an hour or so. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you click the bell icon down below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already, so you get notified with that latest video forecast. And thank you again to Radar Omega for sponsoring today's live stream. If you've not already checked out Radar Omega, you can click the top link in the description. Please check them out. They're an amazing sponsor of mine, and I'm glad they've been able to sponsor today's live stream as well. But again, you can check that out with the top link in the description below. I'll have a video out in about an hour or so stay tuned for that. But we'll see you guys all again soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, stay safe. Stay away from windows, lowest floor possible, as these storms do go through your location. But otherwise, just make sure you stay safe. Have a great rest of your day. And again, click the bell icon down below so you're notified of the latest video that will be coming out again in a couple hours, if not maybe in an hour. So we'll see what happens. Thank you again. Thank you, Guy, by the way, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. Have a great, safe rest of your day and night. If I don't see you guys again tonight for a live stream, I should see you guys again possibly tomorrow or Thursday. So stay tuned for that. Also, thank you, Michael, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I appreciate you guys. Have a great, safe rest of your night. And we'll see you guys all again soon. Again, make sure you check out Radar Omega. Thank you for sponsoring the stream. Top link in the description. And we'll see you guys all again